going to return. I am going to return. To the people from whence I came.
Hello, I'm Peter Mandelson, and I'm proud to serve as His Majesty's British Ambassador to the United States of America.
I feel a tremendous sense, a profound sense of sympathy for those people, those women who suffered as a result of his behaviour and his illegal criminal activities. And secondly, I regret very, very deeply indeed carrying on that association with him for far longer than I should have done.
The Ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
Mandy's out 4 decades and 3 scandals, or 3 that we know about. Guess what? Number 10 knew all about it. They knew that he lived in Jeffrey Epstein's flat.
Mandelson resigned from the Labour Party late last night over the allegation of a $75,000 set of payments to him from Epstein while he was business secretary, $10,000 to his now husband, a photo of him in his pants. This isn't just bad form. There are strong arguments here for him to be facing investigation over misconduct in public office.
I knew of his association with Epstein, but had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him.
Breaking news that Lord Mandelson, Peter Mandelson, has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt. This is the establishment, the British establishment on trial. Came to us around about 5 o'clock when we learned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for 3 powerhouse hours of news, views and topical debate all the way to 7 o'clock. Get on the show, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. It is Friday, February the 27th. Here's what's coming up. Well, let me ask you this. If I've got this right, heroin, crack and the dangerous date rape drug GMB are now free and plentiful in Gorton and Denton, but there's a shortage of plumbers because one of them just got elected as the local MP and she's going to be way too busy soaking the rich to mend your leaking tap. Look out, folks. The lunatics are taking over the asylum. Quite how long the shape-shifting Hannah Spencer will retain the support of the Urdu speakers she shamelessly courted when they cotton on to her firm belief that a woman can have a penis is yet to be established. Sure, they love her free Palestine, hate Israel claptrap, but are they on side with her gay and trans rights obsessions? Somehow I doubt it. 0344 499 1000. But after a sinister sectarian campaign, Happy Hannah stormed it with a 4,000 majority, narrowly pipping strong contenders Reform UK and humiliating Labour into a catastrophic third place in a safe seat they've held since the 1930s, almost 100 years. All hail the end of the Keir show. As Prime Minister, the Prime Minister's decline and fall hit rock bottom, and this strange little man delivered a speech insisting that only his pathetically performing party can hold communities together. What does that even mean? 0344 499 1000. Go away, Starmer, you're finished. I'll analyse the sensational by-election result and ask experts, can it really be that juvenile madman Zach Polanski and his Jolly Green Goblins are on course for 100 seats? And can it really be that the Greens' triumph will herald the dawn of a new extreme-left Labour government run by Prime Minister Angela Rayner and Chancellor Ed Miliband? Trust me, folks, it can. 0344 499 1000. Zany Zach says last night's shock result represents a seismic change in British politics. I fear he might be right. 03444991000. In other news, as if to confirm the advent of the crazed anti-British sentiment that prevailed in the Gaza-dominated Gorton and Denton campaign, the famous Westminster statue of Winston Churchill has been defaced with graffiti calling our greatest leader a Zionist war criminal. Let me know what you think about that. But please remember, it's a family show. 03444991000. Also today, rugby hero and royal husband Mike Tindall is under fire for wearing a hat emblazoned with "Make England Great Again." Why? Why is he under attack? 03444991000. Harry and Meghan are catching flack for their pretend royal tour of Jordan. What the hell was that all about? 03444991000. And is the truth out there about the famous alien autopsy, soon to be the subject of a Louis Theroux TV documentary? All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now, on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday afternoon together. And without further ado, let's go over to Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Welcome, Isabel.
Good afternoon.
Well, lots going on. Before we talk, Keir Starmer swiftly responded to the utter humiliation of his Labour Party, of his candidate up there in Gorton and Denton. Remember, it's been months. Was it Lucy Powell? Oh, lovely Lucy. I love Lucy. Going, oh, yes, we're very much in it. Oh, our polling is revealing that we're in pole position. We're going to win. We're going to win. Yeah, right. Absolutely smashed into third place. This was that strange little man, Keir Starmer's response. Check it out.
Came into politics late in life, as it happens, to fight for change for those people who need it, the people who need an NHS that works for them, to be able to get a doctor's appointment when they need it, to get the money they need in their pockets to pay their bills, and to have a decent and better life. And I will keep on fighting for those people for as long as I've got breath in my body. I will also fight against the extremes in politics, on the right and the left. Parties who want to tear our country apart. The Labour Party is the only party that unite our country and our communities, and we will line up together in that fight against the extremes of the left and the right for the values that we believe in.
It's pathetic, isn't it? It's actually tragic to listen to that funny little man. What on earth is he talking about? Look, communities, unite communities. What does he mean by communities? What on earth is he going on about? And does he not realise this is it? This is the end of the Keir show. They may hang on to him till about May, but he's gone now, isn't he?
Why does this man keep on repeating the same phrases? Why does he seem so unable to adapt his sentiments and language to different situations? It's as if he's only got one script, and whatever the situation, he pulls out a few paragraphs from that script. How many times have we all heard that he came into politics late in life? I'm so bored of hearing that. You know, we all feel like we've aged immensely since he came into politics. I wish he'd left it a bit longer, and then maybe there wouldn't have been any appetite for him at all. And again, you know, he by his own yardsticks there, what he came into politics to do, he's failed and failed and failed and failed. And one of the worst things is how mendacious this man is, along with so many of his colleagues. He talks absolute lies about what's been achieved. So just as an example, this whole thing about how people's energy bills are coming down, well, they're still way above what they were
when they took power. Exactly.
And in any case, any reductions is being totally offset by what extra is being taken in taxes. You know, people, maybe some people are stupid enough to fall for this, I don't know, but it is so wearying hearing these same phrases again and again. Why can't this man be human? Why can't he just say, you know what, clearly our recipe for change is the wrong recipe. It's producing not some glorious feast for everyone, but a mud pie. And maybe it's time that the cook was changed, that cook being Keir Starmer himself.
And I think that for whatever reason, over the past 2-3 decades, this country has become divided, febrile, kind of hysterical. I blame the schools, actually, churning out generations of brainwashed kids who are all into climate change and they can't debate. If you don't agree with them, they just call you names. That is what's being projected into this by-election. That's what elections are going to be like now. Now, the Greens campaign was repulsive. It was sectarian. It was divisive. You know, vote for me and I'll free Palestine. I'll speak to you in Urdu. By the way, I don't believe it should be banned. If you want to campaign in Urdu, it's a free country. You should be allowed to do it. But you know, we do have a problem that parties now will be like this. The elections will be extremely vicious, and they will play upon the electorates, the constituents' worst prejudices. Hence, Hannah Spencer, free Palestine, hate Israel. You know, all of that in Urdu. I bet what she wasn't saying in Urdu is, hey, here's another thing you're going to like, Muslim community, about we Greens. We think women can have penises and we're bang up for full trans rights and gay rights. Do you like that, Islamic people? I bet she didn't say that in Urdu. When they find out, they'll be less keen on her and Zach Polanski. But no getting away from it with that divisive, sectarian, bitter, awful campaign. It was sinister, but it was clever, wasn't it?
Well, I actually differ with you on whether or not it's okay to campaign in a British election.
I know. I'm controversial on that, I know.
I'm not cool with that, and I'll tell you why. Because it makes it very difficult for whoever you're talking about, which is likely to be the other parties, to respond to what you're saying. You know, elections really, in my view, have to be conducted in the lingua franca of the country that they're being held in the language that the most people are likely to be able to speak. Otherwise, they are excluding. You know, the Green Party, for all of its inclusivity,
yes, that's not inclusive, is it, to talk in Urdu?
Is excluding the majority here. Yeah. And the problem is precisely as you encapsulated there. You said, I bet she wasn't saying this, that, or the other. We don't know what she was saying. My Urdu isn't too great today. Yeah. It wasn't too great yesterday or through the whole of the campaign. And frankly, if you can't speak English enough to listen to a candidate speaking English, then I'm not really sure what you're doing voting in our country. I wouldn't expect to be able to vote in a country where I couldn't speak the language, not even a basic grasp of it.
I mean, I appreciate those sentiments. I mean, I agree with you in principle. I just don't like the idea of bringing in a law to ban it. You know, I'm a sort of libertarian, so it's a free country. If you want to campaign in Russian, go right ahead as far as I'm concerned. But let's listen to the triumphant Hannah Spencer's victory speech.
Working hard, what does that get you? Because talk to anyone here and they will tell you. The people who work hard but can't put food on the table, can't get their kids' school uniforms, can't put their heating on, can't live off the pension they worked hard to save for, can't even begin to dream about ever having a holiday, ever. Because life has changed. Instead of working for a nice life, we're working to line the pockets of billionaires.
I have no problem with lining the pockets of billionaires, because billionaires tend to be wealth creators. They tend to own companies. They tend to employ a lot of people. They tend to be extremely good for the economy. So I'm happy to line the pockets of billionaires.
I don't know what she means. We're working to line the pockets of billionaires. It's as if the Greens just think that you just say stuff like that. Tax the rich, you know, make the rich pay, soak the rich, stop helping billionaires. What is she talking about? You know, very few billionaires.
She's a little girl. She's a little girl, like Zach Polanski's a little boy. They're like little students trying to shock their parents with their extreme policies. You know, Zach Polanski has never had an alcoholic drink in his life, never smoked a cigarette in his life, never taken a drug in his life. In my view, be very suspicious of a grown man like that. But when he says legalise heroin and crack, he should spend 2 weeks on heroin and crack and then see what it's like after that. He should know about these things before promoting such dangerous, crazy, frankly, pathetically juvenile policies.
I mean, the thing is, this result is not going to be replicated in less extreme constituency. I use the word extreme because I'm talking in demographic terms here. I think 30% of that constituency is Muslim. And so the idea that that result last night, which was a very good result for the Greens, no one's taking that away from them, is somehow going to be replicated across the country at the next election is for the birds. Also, the Green Party doesn't have the infrastructure or the ground game to flood 650 constituencies with that many activists. So by-elections are never representative. And in some ways, I welcome this result because it will shine a very harsh spotlight on what these absolute nut jobs actually stand for. And I would really like to hear, and I'm sure we'll get the opportunity now, somebody of a reasonable level of intellect really pressing the newest MP on precisely how she plans to increase the amount of money in the pockets of the people she's talking about by what policies she has outlined. I don't understand how she thinks she can make ordinary people better off by hammering billionaires who don't even live in Britain anyway. I mean, there are not that many billionaires who are domiciled in the UK for very good reason.
Yeah, I mean, they're driving forces. They just hate people with money, a bit like Labour, only worse. Let's talk briefly about Reform, who established themselves, obviously, as the party of opposition. You know, a lot of people, oh, they didn't win. Well, they fought a more acceptable campaign, I think. But, my God, you know, where were the Tories? Where, in fact, were Labour? So Reform actually achieved great things in a constituency which I think was something like 414th on their wish list. So extraordinary.
So Reform ran an immensely energetic and professional campaign, which I think they see as a kind of test bed. It's the first big by-election since Reform has become such a massive, powerful national political force, and was a test of some very new technology, sort of canvassing tools that are being used, and Reform's ability to get out so many activists. I mean, I believe yesterday had something like 1,200 activists helping get out the vote. So I think, although it's disappointing for the party leadership and for everybody that gave that campaign their all, and, you know, Matt Goodwin worked astonishingly long hours, was very, very dedicated. I think there's a huge amount of comfort to be taken from, encouragement to be taken from the result, with Reform polling at their national level, roughly 29% in that constituency, when it's the kind of constituency you would expect to perform well below the national polling.
It's a left-wing constituency. It's a socialist constituency. It has been Labour for nearly 100 years, since the 1930s. Yeah. For a party like Reform to come so close to winning, and the only reason they lost was because basically Hannah Spencer and Zach Polanski went round saying, oh, can we give you £1 million each? What would you like? We'll do it for you. They just ran a kind of Corbyn-esque kind of pathetic campaign that preyed on, you know, everybody's desires, as it were. That's the only reason that Reform didn't win. So to come so close in a traditional socialist constituency, I think is very significant.
I really think it is very significant. And I think that what Nigel Farage would take from this as well is the crushing of the Conservatives. They're just nowhere. I mean, they lost their deposit. It's a humiliating result. You know, you've got to hand it to the candidate. It's really rough fighting in a constituency like that when you know that you are the rank outsider. So it's a brave thing to do. But I heard her on Kyle's show this morning, and all she was talking about is the Conservatives being the party of the fiscally responsible. Well, I just thought
all these phrases these people have got. I mean,
wonder why you didn't win. I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean? Why are our politicians so obsessed with using these ridiculous phrases that no human being normally would trot out?
Yeah. If there are any wannabe politicians, wannabe MPs out there who are planning to campaign to become an MP at the next election, do not use this as your slogan. We are the party of the fiscally responsible. I mean, come on, it's pathetic, isn't it? Almost as pathetic as Keir Starmer. Great to talk to you, Isabel. We'll talk again on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. Isabel Oakeshott Talks international editor there with a kind of roundup of this astonishing result last night in Gorton and Denton. And next up, we'll talk to veteran Labour MP from the Manchester area, Graham Stringer, a man who tells it like it is. We'll get his take on this. Should be interesting. That next.
We genuinely are on resignation watch. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Labour MPs, they say, listen, Keir, your position is untenable. This is all about appointing that rat, Peter Mandelson, who faces a criminal investigation.
Can Keir Starmer survive the Mandelson scandal? We have breaking news for you. We've just been talking about, of course, Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff. We've now had another resignation from Number 10. And Keir Starmer's Director of Communications, Tim Allen, has now also resigned. The plot is thickening. The noose is tightening.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, Gorton and Denton in the Manchester area. So is Blakely, the constituency of my next guest, veteran Labour MP, former Manchester councillor, Graham Stringer. Welcome, Graham.
Good evening.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to obviously analyse what happened last night in Gorton and Denton with you, but we've been playing the Prime Minister's response today, talking about only Labour can stop hatred and bring together communities, and I came into politics to fight. I'm fighting for change. It was, frankly, Graham, just a stream of tired old cliches, and last night's result, Labour beaten into third place in a seat they've held since the 1930s. This is the end of the Keir show, isn't it? He has to go, doesn't he?
I think he's, as I've said to you before, I think he's got until May. If the results in the local elections in Scotland and Wales are as bad as we expect them to be, then I would be surprised if there wasn't a challenge to him. And senior members of the Parliamentary Labour Party and the Labour Party need to be thinking now about how to handle that process, because I've got no animus towards Keir, but he's failed really as Prime Minister, and as in any other job, if you fail, the organisation needs to look towards somebody who can do a better job. There's nothing special in that sense about politics.
I mean, as a Labour man, veteran Labour man from the Manchester area, you obviously know Gorton and Denton well. Did you ever think you'd see that seat fall to another party and not Labour? Did you ever think you'd see a party like Reform come close to winning it?
No, I went to school in Gorton, so I do know it well. The first seat I stood for and lost as a candidate in the local council elections was in that constituency. So I know it street by street. I've known it all my life. The only time I've ever thought Labour would lose that seat was at the start of this campaign, and I did tell people that I thought that the Greens would win, and sadly, from my point of view, I was right. I mean, there was a tough, I don't think very honest campaign from the Greens, which took away a lot of the traditional vote from the Muslim community that we've got there. And then in Denton and other parts of the constituency, where there is a traditional Labour voting white working class, they're so disappointed with the governments that they're not voting Labour, basically, and they've seen Reform as an alternative. In terms of criticism of my own part, I heard your guest previously talking about the Conservative slogan of fiscal responsibility. Well, the Labour Party, two common slogans. One was Labour has the best brand. Who
Was that it?
Go to the polls and say, I'm going to vote for the party with the best brand.
That isn't good. I didn't realise that.
You best vote for the party that you believe is going to be good for Manchester, good for the country, and good for you. Those are the three things that you have to hit. And sadly, Angeliki, who I know well and is a really decent person, she got into the habit and said, when asked in a hustings, well, we're going to win because Labour always wins here. Well, there were some fundamental errors in our campaigning. We have to say to the traditional Labour voters that how we're going to make things better in a credible way, simple things. We have to stop watching people coming into this country with no right to be here. Some of them prove to be really nasty criminals. And we just look weak if we can't stop that. We have to do better with the economy, and we have to do better with the health service. It's difficult, but simple in terms of analysis.
Do you anticipate, Graham, because of the success of the sinister but definitely clever campaign by the Greens, targeting the Urdu speakers, telling them, we'll free Palestine, we hate Israel, basically telling younger people you can have free heroin, free crack, whatever you want, we'll give it to you. but obviously, you know, a lot of people saying that the Greens are really the communists with a green coating. They don't seem to talk about the environment or climate change at all anymore. But in response to this, their success, do you anticipate that the Labour government, I mean, there's a lot of calls for this, will lurch, maybe surge to the left?
It's possible. I mean, one of the things about the people who are talked about in the press as being potential candidates, there is not a lot of analysis going on. I don't know if there is an election who I will vote for, because I want to listen to their analysis and see what the solution is to these things. So it is possible that there would be a lurch to the left. I think that would be a mistake. What people want is a steady achievement and a feeling that the government is on their side. People feel very distant from the government because people, the electorate, don't think about politics very much, most of them, not like I do. I mean, I think about it every minute of the day, very much. But they don't, and they vote for people on the basis they've always voted for them, or they think they're going to do things good for them and the country. So I think the Labour Party has got to do that. They've also got to expose the Greens as a rather nasty, racist, anti-Semitic party who used that in the election, both about Palestine. They put out pictures of the Prime Minister with Modi, the Premier in India, and that was a not very subliminal message. The Labour Party likes Hindus and not Muslims. So it was quite a nasty campaign in that sort of way. And it is very difficult to know how to deal with a sectarian campaign, because if what people are doing is saying, I'm a Muslim, I'm from Pakistan or Bangladesh, and I'm going to this way, well, you can't argue with that. You can't change that. That's who they are. And if the campaign has turned it into that's why you vote Green, it's really tough, sectarian, and in the immediate future, very dangerous for democracy.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Do you, I mean, I'm kind of torn on, you know, the fact that the Greens spoke to the Urdu community in their native language. A lot of people are saying, well, campaigners or political campaigns should be banned from using foreign languages. Well, I'm a bit of a libertarian, and I just sort of think, well, if a political party wants to do that, it should be allowed to. But would you support the idea of making that illegal?
Political parties have been putting out leaflets in non-English for a long time. The Labour Party certainly started in the 70s putting out leaflets in Urdu and other languages from the Indian subcontinent. In Scotland, leaflets in parts of Scotland go out in Gaelic. And in Wales, in Welsh. So it would be a tough ask to say that. I agree with you that as a libertarian you should be able to say within the law what you want to in what language. Interestingly, people who aren't UK citizens have the right to vote if they come from the Commonwealth. That becomes, I think, a serious question if people can't speak English about how they contribute to our democracy. That, again, is a very tough question, but I think it needs answering because it enables people to manipulate those people.
Do you feel, to go on to reform, I mean, it was quite a significant success for them. They didn't win, but, you know, as I said earlier, the Gorton and Denton has been a socialist constituency, a Labour constituency for almost 100 years, since the 1930s. So for a right-wing party, our sort of most right-wing mainstream party, to come so close to winning it and beat Labour, I mean, that was quite significant, wasn't it?
It was, and I don't want to repeat what I was saying. I think it's partly to do with the Labour Party not delivering for the people who it was formed to represent, as opposed to any strength. I think Nigel Farage is a bit of a political genius. From a man who went to public school, he manages, in the way David Cameron did, and Tony Blair, he manages to be able to speak with people who's not got anything in common in his upbringing, in a way they understand, in the way the examples that we've just been through of inappropriate sloganising don't. Nigel Farage speaks directly to people who are feeling fed up and lost with their traditional party.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that kind of bloke in a pub appeal, definitely. And final question, Graham. Zach Polanski, is he a dangerous man? And here's a thought for you. I'm sure it's occurred to you already. When Keir Starmer pushed for taking the vote, the voting age down to 16, I think he assumed this would be a good idea because 16-year-old kids are bound to be left-leaning, and I think that's probably a bit too presumptuous, but that was his idea, and therefore they'll vote Labour. Well, now you've got this guy, Zach Polanski, saying to 16-year-old kids, hey, you get free heroin, free crack, you can do what you like, you don't have to go to work. That's the danger, isn't it, that the 16-year-olds will now all vote for the Green Party? Is, in your opinion, with his extreme populist policies, Zach Polanski a dangerous man?
I think his policies need exposing. When there was a vote a few years ago on votes for 16-year-olds, I voted against it. I think we need a common age for adulthood, really, signing contracts, being able to vote. So I'm against it in principle. I think you're probably right. The Labour Party, as the SNP did in Scotland, saw a political advantage in reducing the age of voting. It's a real task for the Labour Party is to expose some of these policies. But in terms of impact in a general election, the number of 16 and 17-year-olds is a small percentage of the electorate. I think it's 1.5%, something like that. Mm-hmm. And probably not many of them will vote. So while I don't agree with what my party's saying in principle, I don't think it will have a huge effect on any election.
But do you think generally Zach Polanski, with his, frankly, sometimes crazy policies, do you think he's dangerous?
Yes, and that's why it's the duty of all sensible parties, and mine in particular, to expose it. The thing missing, and this, well, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, so one of the things missing from Labour's campaign was the equivalent man of the skills in communication that Peter Mandelson had, to hone down into 3 or 4 words what was wrong and what the Greens would do or what Reform would do, and we didn't. Our campaigning was in obscure marketing language when you need to get it very simply across to people whose politics isn't their life.
Labour is the best brand. That's not very good, is it? Graham, Graham, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Graham Stringer there, Labour MP, veteran Labour MP, with his thoughts on the Gaunton and Denton by-election. Give me your thoughts. 03444 99 1000. What does it all mean? Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk to a pollster about we'll try and analyse what these results mean. Could it lead to the Green Party gaining 100 seats or more at the next election? Then, folks, we really will be in trouble. Then the lunatics will be taking over the asylum. That next. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, let's talk about the implications of last night's result in Dorton and Genton. Gorton and Dorton and Genton. Gorton and Denton. Right, let's go. Let's talk to pollster. He's the founder and chief executive of the polling company Survation, Damien Lyons-Lowe. Welcome, Damien.
It's been a long day, hasn't it, Kevin?
It certainly has. It's actually quite a short day for me. I don't know why I'm screwing up so early.
Beth Ruby last night was calling it Garton and Denton.
Yeah, well, okay, so, I'm just one of the people who get it wrong. Why can't it just have one name? Anyway, Damien, from last night's results, some are extrapolating that the Greens at the next election, if they carry on that kind of performance, could win as many as 100 seats or more. Do you agree with that?
No. I mean, a couple of reasons, right? You've got a very unpopular government right now. Supporters of the Labour Party are very unhappy with Keir Starmer. So there's a lot of there's a lot of reasons why natural supporters of the Labour Party would be incentivised to vote for somebody else, right? So you've got the protest vote element. That's number one in a by-election. Number two, if you kind of have a think about what this wasn't actually a Reform Labour Green battle yesterday. It was more of a left pro-Gaza coalition ticket for the Greens.
Yeah.
So recall that in the 2024 general election, George Galloway's Workers' Party got 10% of the vote, elected to not stand a candidate this time, and then it endorsed Hannah Spencer from the Greens. And then meanwhile, Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana, the Your Party crew, also endorsed Hannah Spencer. So I think you can kind of think of it as a kind of a left joint ticket.
Yeah.
So it's an unusual. So to try and extrapolate that nationally is not really a thing that you can do. It's a very unusual backdrop. And I don't think you can.
I've got 50 quid on whether or not Zach Polanski will ever mention the environment, and I think I'm probably going to win. But what about for the Tories in particular? They lost their deposit. I mean, does this indicate that they are, as a significant party of opposition, disappearing? Because Reform seem to have stolen their mantle here, don't they?
Well, I mean, the numbers are very small, but back of the envelope, I think the Reform took about 12% of Labour's vote from 2024, but I think Reform took about 75% of the Conservative vote from 2024. So, about 75% of Tories voting Reform. I think that's a concern for Kemi Badenoch. That's the extent to which Conservative voters are happy to vote for Reform. I think is probably the only takeaway that you can get. I mean, otherwise it's they're, as you say, a bit part player in this election.
And is there not also? Reform are obviously taking Tory votes. But in Gorton and Denton, see, I got it right this time, they also took Labour votes, didn't they?
Yeah, they absolutely smashed up the white working class parts of the seats. So these are the Denton wards. So they won a large majorities, like between 45 and 65% of the Denton wards on that eastern sort of further out part of the constituency. Those have been traditionally very strong Labour areas, and that demographic is kind of wholesale going to Reform. Now, if you think back to the UKIP days, an area like this, Reform would be looking to lose UKIP would have looked to have lost their deposit in a place like this.
Yeah.
The predecessor constituencies of Gorton and Denton were returning 75, 79, 70% type Labour vote shares in the Corbyn days. Big changes since then.
So if you project what happened last night to the general election, shall we say, 29, but it might be 27 or something like that. But so, how would that work out? Who would win the election?
Well, so, I mean, the way that I would do the maths is I would say, well, look, we currently have the Green Party at Salvation on 11% from being 7% at the general election. I think, you know, you might get a kind of green honeymoon in the polls after this. So maybe the Greens are on 15% post this kind of, you know, advertorial for the Green Party. So that would give them something like 33 seats, in my estimation, at a general election.
That in itself is quite worrying. And are we looking at, if you take last night's result on board, are we looking at a potential Reform UK government?
So on last night's numbers, I would, well, if we extrapolate the by-election, yes, I think you'd be looking at a Reform-led government. So, I mean, a couple of things need to happen. A couple of things need to happen for that not to be true, right? So I did some numbers for you. So let's assume that, say, for example, Reform gets something like 24% of the vote at the next general election. We've currently got them on 27, so maybe they cap out. Kemi's Conservative Party stay on about 19%. Labour, a kind of Labour in the post-Keir Starmer era, on 28%, and let's keep the Greens on 15%. Those kinds of figures, Labour would be looking at forming the next government. They wouldn't have an overall majority, but they would be about 78 seats short of an overall majority. So, you know, this kind of five-party politics, it's getting a bit complicated, but you can't really rule out a Labour-led government, especially if, you know, they do get rid of Keir Starmer, which I believe that they will.
Yeah.
Just the same as you can't really rule out a Reform overall majority. I mean, there's a lot going on.
And also, Damien, last night, I mean, it was quite an extraordinary by-election. So you have to factor that in. But very interesting situation and really interesting to talk to you. Thank you so much. That's Damien Lyons Lowe. He's the founder and chief executive of the polling company Survation. When we come back, we're going to talk about this appalling attack on the statue, the famous statue of our greatest leader, Winston Churchill, down in Westminster, which has been daubed with graffiti calling him a Zionist war criminal. And I can't help thinking that the sort of claptrap that the Green Party were talking up in the by-election is the sort of thing that leads to what we saw with this statue. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
We genuinely are on resignation watch. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Labour MPs, they say, listen, Keir, your position is untenable. This is all about appointing that rat, Peter Mandelson, who faces a criminal investigation.
Can Keir Starmer survive the Mandelson scandal? We have breaking news for you. We've just been talking about, of course, Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff. We've now had another resignation from Number 10. And Keir Starmer's Director of Communications, Tim Allen, has now also resigned. The plot is thickening. The noose is tightening.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. The very famous statue of our greatest leader, our wartime hero, Winston Churchill, has been disgracefully defaced with graffiti, with phrases such as "Stop the genocide," "Free Palestine," "Never again is now," and so on and so forth. But the worst thing is that right across the front there is the phrase, the slogan, "Zionist war criminal." This is the kind of sentiment that is gaining pace in this country, you know, that the anti-British feeling, sentiment that prevailed in the Green Party's campaign up in Gorton and Denton. All these Zionists, all these people, all these anti-British, anti-colonial, anti-imperial, free Palestine people. This is what all that claptrap up in Gorton and Denton leads to. This is a disgrace. Let's talk to former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley. Yeah, Peter, this was filmed. The alleged perpetrator has been arrested. But, you know, I'm not really talking to you as a copper. I'm not talking to you as a patriotic citizen of this country. What do you think when you see this? Our greatest ever leader reduced to this. His statue in Westminster reduced to this. This is a disgrace, isn't it?
Quite simply, whoever did this is a moronic, numbskull cretin. I'm glad the police have made an arrest. That was about 12 hours ago. What I sincerely do not want to hear is that a person has been released under investigation, for example. The police have got plenty of evidence. They will have CCTV. Westminster is smothered in CCTV, so there should be charges forthcoming today, I sincerely hope. And if this person is linked to a Dutch protest group, as has been reported, then I think he should be regarded as a flight risk, somebody who may go on to commit further offences and therefore should be held in custody. I'm going to be very interested to see what the Met Police developments are in this case later today.
Well, the Dutch group, Free the Filton 24, claimed responsibility for this action on Friday. They proudly posted a video of this defacing on their Instagram account. They define themselves as family and friends of the Palestine Action Group, those activists. So when there are these calls to say that Palestine Action should not be a prescribed terrorist group, when we learn that they're friends of this lot that did this to the statue of Winston Churchill, then I think they should remain a prescribed terrorist group, Palestine Action, don't you?
I most certainly do. And for me, there's no coincidence here between the Greens winning the by-election and this happening on the same morning that the result is announced. I think they're clearly linked. And I think this shows, really, that we are helter-skeltering towards a situation in this country now when things are really quite simple, whether they be political, societal, or however you carry out your life. You've got to pick a side now. if you want to preserve Britain, if you want Britain to be a land of where we cherish our cultures, we cherish what is British, we respect and celebrate so much of our history, and moving forward, you want things like basic good manners to be applied. You want the rule of man-made law to be absolute and followed. And if you want things like equality for women, equality for people no matter what their sexuality, if you want the humane slaughter of animals that we go on to eat, and all these kind of things, if they're what you treasure, if they're what you want, if they're your values and you want to keep them, then we're all going to have to pick a side very, very swiftly.
I totally agree with you. And as we saw in Gorton and Denton with the Greens campaign, as we see increasingly with these Palestine Action people, they hate Britain. I suspect many Labour MPs hate Britain. Many Green supporters hate Britain. They think we're imperialist, we're colonialist, and that Winston Churchill is a symbol of everything that is wrong with our nation. And something has to be done about it. We have to, you know, as you say, we have to rally to the cause of our great country and stop all this. It's a disgrace. Before you go, Pete, let me get a quick comment or a reaction from you, if you don't mind. The Soham double murderer Ian Huntley attacked in Franklin Prison by a fellow inmate. Very proudly, he bashed him to nearly to death with a metal bar with spikes coming out of it. Ian Huntley, we were told, was likely to die overnight, but he was found in a pool of blood, very, very badly injured. This is about the fourth time he's been badly attacked in jail. It's a high security jail, but it's obviously not high security enough to properly protect the Soham killer of Holly and Jessica. He's in hospital still fighting for his life, and people still expect him to die. But your thoughts? I mean, what do we feel about this? Because of course, who cares if he dies? But then again, it somehow seems wrong that we celebrate what a murdering rapist did to Ian Huntley, which for the perpetrator was apparently a murderer and a rapist serving a whole life sentence.
Yeah, sources from within the prison system have been telling me for a long time that there's a price on his head, that he was very much a marked man, utterly detested throughout the prison estate by virtually everybody that had to deal with him, whether it was fellow inmates or members of staff. So this attack comes as no surprise. I'm not going to condone violence, of course, but by the same token, if you've come to me for the sympathy vote, you've very much gone to the wrong place. I do not, I don't condone it, but it comes as absolutely no surprise. I shall not lose a moment's sleep about whatever happens to Huntley, should he live or should he die. But once again, as for so many years, my thoughts are with everybody who loved Holly and Jessica, those sweet, sweet, young, innocent girls. May their souls rest in eternal peace.
Absolutely. I remember Holly and Jessica, poor little kids. 2002 it was. That monster killed them and hid them. And if he dies, I won't care at all. I remember Holly and Jessica, and I still cry for them. So, however, we must not start hailing this murdering rapist who raped a pregnant woman and is serving a whole life sentence. We must not hail that guy as a hero. He apparently was leaping around going, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it. That is something that we must not celebrate. But as I say, and I think you agree, if Ian Huntley dies, I don't think I'll lose too much sleep. Pete, very, very good to talk to you as always. Thank you so much. Peter Brexley there, former Met Police detective. Now, we're about to go to the 5 o'clock news, and after the 5 o'clock news, fresh, just down from Gorton and Denton, our East reporter Samara Gill will be in the studio to tell us about the atmosphere up there and what she saw and what she makes of the results. So that next, you better stay tuned.
fancy returning to the front line as Foreign Secretary?
I am going to return. I am going to return. To the people from whence I came.
Hello, I'm Peter Mandelson, and I'm proud to serve as His Majesty's British Ambassador to the United States of America.
I feel a tremendous sense, a profound sense of sympathy for those people, those women who suffered as a result of his behaviour and his illegal criminal activities. And secondly, I regret very, very deeply indeed carrying on that association with him for far longer than I should have done.
The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
Mandy's out 4 decades and 3 scandals, or 3 that we know about. Guess what? Number 10 knew all about it. They knew that he lived in Jeffrey Epstein's flat.
Mandelson resigned from the Labour Party late last night over the allegation of the $75,000 set of payments to him from Epstein while he was business secretary, $10,000 to his now husband, a photo of him in his pants. This isn't just bad form. There are strong arguments here for him to be facing investigation over misconduct in public office.
I knew of his association with Epstein, but had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him.
Breaking news that Lord Mandelson, Peter Mandelson, has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt. This is the establishment, the British establishment on trial. Came to us around about 5 o'clock when we learned that we saw footage of Peter Mandelson being led out of his London home in very exclusive Regent's Park by 3 coppers.
Now we have all these allegations, we have all the documentation related to those allegations, which Downing Street is being forced to put out. The first tranche of it will be early next month.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, welcome back. It was the big by-election last night, and as you know, I've given that constituency a new name, Gorton and Denton, Denton and Gorton, God knows what the hell it is. What did I call it? Was it Gorton and Denton, isn't it? I called it Dorton and Genton. There you go. It's been, I was up until 4 a.m. watching the election. It was must-see TV. I'm never doing that again. Did anyone else do that? Did any of you stay up to get this result around about 3 o'clock? It came through. I was fighting to stay awake by then, and now, of course, you know, I'm not exactly firing on all cylinders. Anyone else stay up, and will you do it again? 0344 499 1000. Someone who did stay up because she was there is our ace reporter Samara Gill. She's in the studio. Fun night?
Genuinely, over there in Dorton and Genton, it is genuinely like a sort of episode of Fear and or a movie of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but it's sort of full of cocaine, ketamine, jihad in some places. It's just this weird mix of ideologies that somehow triumph.
That's what I said. That's what I said. So in Gorton and Denton now, because they've got the Greens in, because Zach's party, they can get free heroin and crack and GM. What about the rest of us? What about the rest of us? It's not fair. It's not fair. I mean, seriously, the lunatics are taking over the asylum. But Samara, we'll talk to Samara more seriously about Gorton and Denton. He said checking the words to make sure I didn't say Dorton and Kenton again.
I kind of like it. I'm going to stick with it.
We'll get this sort of atmosphere and what that place is like and what the people are like from Samara in a second. But she put together a film package of the by-election and her comments and her thoughts on it, and here it is.
Greens. The Green Party.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Over the moon, yes. Absolutely over the moon, yeah, brilliant.
Did you vote for them?
Yes, I did, brilliant.
How will the Greens fix Gorton and Denton?
Well, I hope they do better than Labour.
Is Keir Starmer finished?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, he needs to be gone him now, big time. Yeah, he's killed his country.
The Greens good. I'm seeing red, but it's time we showed Labour up.
Yeah?
Time we showed Labour up. They need to kick up the old Jackson.
Do you like the fact that the Greens won yesterday?
Have you got what?
The Green Party won Gorton and Denton.
I only look after one boy, that's my new.
Makes no difference to me, love, they're all the same.
Excuse me, did you vote for Greens?
I didn't vote at all.
Hannah Spencer, what did you think about her?
She seemed okay, yeah. I think she's a United fan as well, so that that helps.
Did you vote?
I don't speak English.
Oh, okay. How do you feel about the Greens, though?
Is that who won?
Yeah. Did you vote in the election? No.
No. So aggressive with the campaigning. They didn't leave us alone. Didn't stop harassing him. They were really bad.
So Hannah Spencer's not going to fix Gorton and Denton?
Shit, we can all dance on a corner of a street, can't we? Sorry.
You're happy about the Greens winning?
Very happy,
Yeah.
very happy.
I mean, don't you see the flyers on our display? Already, they support them anyway.
Yeah, that's
Really?
yeah, the road. I'm very happy.
What is it about the Greens?
Yeah, the green is so nice.
They're the least evil option. Yeah, out of the two parties, one supports the pedos, the other lets them go. So the Greens are a better option, right?
This was a very strong Labour area up until yesterday. It was the Labour heartland.
Yeah, that's very good. I think that is good ook van the...
I mean, the things that the councils did, not a lot of people have been happy. Like, they made big plans saying, oh, we're gonna add parks and everything. They only added the playground. That's it. There's always delays with plans. They tell you one thing and then they delay it until the next year or two. So it's just the same little just problems, and the people have obviously had enough and they want to change it up. Maybe the Green Party will do something different.
Just tell us, what do you think? Are the Greens going to fix Gorton and Denton?
They already have. I think it's great for change, yeah? Yeah, I think it's got to happen. Can't have it traditional all the time. Yeah.
Labour are crooks, Conservatives are crooks, so where do you go from there? They're all lying in their own pockets, the working people are getting less and less of anything. They're all getting a rise every year, voted by some ombudsman, which has got something to do with them, I think. So no, I'm not voting, it won't achieve anything.
God. So, there was one woman didn't speak English, another guy spoke very broken English, and of course the Greens ran much of their campaign in Urdu. This is
smart move from them.
This is an unusual constituency, isn't it?
It's an unusual one, but I guess this is actually sort of representing the rest of England in some ways. Now, there are two camps you can be in. One is, yes, this was the Greens to win, just because it's such a unique seat, as you said. I mean, it didn't always used to include Denton. Those two have been almost bolted together to create this super constituency full of Islamists and sort of socialist young people that ended up getting the Greens elected. But I mean, you just genuinely can't fathom how deluded some of these people were. And it was, well, I don't blame them, you know. They, in a way, the marketing campaign of the Green Party, very similar to a Zoran Mamdani style campaign that we've seen in New York, really punctured through. It really did. Everyone I spoke to, I asked them off camera, how did you learn about the Green Party? Social media. And what's interesting is, you know, there are other parties like Advance UK who had strong social media campaigns that didn't seem to have the same breakthrough. So it's just interesting to see how everything translates in real life. I think Hannah Spencer was a very strong candidate for the Greens to run. I don't think they'll have a bunch of Hannah Spencers to actually put forward for the next general election.
But also their campaign is that what is it that you'd like? What do you want? Yeah, we'll give it to you. Bit like Corbyn's. Remember Corbyn's campaign at the last election, but one where, you know, he just kept offering more and more free TV licenses, free streaming service, free air tickets, for anything you want, you know. So the Greens seem to be going down that path. You know, free heroin, free crack, free absolutely everything. And what it seems to me from your film there was the votes that they did pick up, which we should stress, as was clear from your footage there, were not. They didn't just get the Muslim vote, but they got the disillusioned vote, didn't they? They got the vote of people who feel that Labour have let them down, that the traditional parties have left that area sort of destitute. So they picked up on that kind of disillusionment that seemed to prevail among those people that you've talked to.
Exactly. This is the real-life consequence of Starmer's mismanagement of his own party. Someone who genuinely hasn't been able to stick to anything, you know, over 16 U-turns, has driven the Labour Party into this middle ground, ironically kind of founded by people like Mandelson, and has sort of shot it into oblivion, because you can actually see from this Greens result that what people want on some sides of constituencies and voter bases is actually a far left. I mean, this is the most far left party that has ever been elected into office, and how it currently stands with its positions. And that's really something, in my opinion, to be a little bit scared of. But you're going to see these factions on both sides, and I think that's what we're really seeing with UK politics. This is a new dawn on how this country is going to be run in the future.
Let me tell you, with all these 16-year-olds getting the vote, the free heroin and crack, that's going to, you know, free drugs or legal drugs, that's going to get a lot of 16-year-old votes. So that's going to, I mean, it's going to be a serious factor, but that's what it seems to me the Green Party are doing. They are preying on all sorts of populist desires. You know, what do you need? What do you want? And the weirdest thing about them, you know, Hannah Spencer, Zach Polanski, what do you never hear them talk about? Oh, I know, the environment. Climate change, green issues.
It's totally no longer about that. Only by heritage is it called the Green Party now. Yeah. They are craven for going after votes in any area they can. And you can see this. I mean, you've got Zach Polanski in Heaven nightclub partying it up, while Mothin Ali, his deputy, has a wife at home who wears a full burqa. This is the party we're talking about right now. But strangely, it's almost like a socially engineered party that will pick up the pro-Gaza, pro-crack cocaine vote. And this is what's happened now. This is who's picked up. One of the...
You like Gaza, you want crack, vote Green.
Sorry, but that's the Labour voter now, actually, it seems. And that's also the backbench that is sort of got Starmer on a knife's edge. And this, I think the days are numbered for Starmer.
Oh, no, Starmer's finished. Starmer's finished. The only reason he'll limp on until the May local elections, at which Labour will get an absolute hammering. They'll be annihilated. Then they will get rid of him. The only reason they're not getting rid of him now is they want him to take the blame for the local election disaster. And also, they literally, all the candidates right now aren't ready. Angela Rayner, potentially our next Prime Minister. This is getting serious, folks. She's still got her problems with stamp duty and HMRC, so she's not ready. I mean, you can forget about West Streeting now. He's too busy talking to his close friend Peter Mandelson. Well, he's probably not anymore, but that's his problem. He's finished. He's too moderate. And Ed Miliband, who will probably become Chancellor, he's not making a move because to be fair, he wants to be the kingmaker. He doesn't want to be Prime Minister. So Starmer's gone now, and the problem is, you're hearing it today from all the left-wing Labour backbenchers. Look, the Green Party have proved that we, the Labour government, must not lurch to the left. We must surge to the left. We must become an extremely left-wing government. That's what's coming down the road, isn't it?
I think it is, and I think it's actually already here. It's arrived at the station, and I think Labour really needs to make sure that they understand that they're screwed, because they are being eaten alive by both the Greens and Reform now. If you actually look at that carcass that is the Labour Party, you can see, if you try and triangulate the actual votes, which is really boring and I won't get into because people will switch off, but if you look at what the actual votes the votes that they've taken from Labour, it's almost half split 50-50 between the Greens and Reform, and that's something that will, when we look towards in the future, a Green Reform sort of split within Parliament could be the real thing, with a coalition with Labour on the Green side and a coalition with the Tories on Reform. That is a very likely scenario now after this election result.
Yeah, we're going to talk just quickly about Reform's performance. I mean, they're disappointed not to win. To be fair, I think they conducted a very energetic and decent campaign. The Greens campaign was clever but sinister, awful in many ways, but it was clever, and Reform couldn't live with that. But because they're not saying free Palestine and free crack, so free Palestine, free heroin.
We laugh, but this is this is what they won on.
But
this is their campaign
I know, which is kind of. It's a sick joke. I mean, it's funny, but it's extremely worrying as well. But Reform, I mean, they literally stole the Labour vote. So disillusioned Labour voters, you know, obviously some of them are going to the Greens, but many of them are going to Reform, which does contribute to the picture, the projection that maybe Reform will win the next election.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still very much likely. We forget that this was one of the hardest seats to get. I mean, this just a year or two ago in 2024 was one of the safest Labour seats in the country, held by Labour for 100 years.
Yeah, I know.
And having walked around the streets just today, I'm surprised that Matt Goodwin even got the amount of votes that he did, because they were so into the Greens. Everyone I spoke to, men, women, children, Deliveroo drivers, nurses, they love the Greens for some reason over there. They're totally struck by that wave. And I think Matt Goodwin did a really, really decent job, but unfortunately that demographic is extremely hard to crack. And I also think, yes, maybe it's a bit of a wake-up call for Farage on how he's going to go forward with his placements, his party. I think in this situation, Zach Polanski actually, weirdly to say, had better political knack at choosing the right person for the right time in the right constituency. And maybe with Matt Goodwin, I think he's really an academic and he's fantastic, but having spent time in that neighbourhood, I don't know if he was the right fit potentially.
Yeah, because Hannah Spencer's a local Man United fan, as you heard in your film, plumber, you know, down to earth. So you know, the intellectual university lecturer, perhaps not the right candidate for that area, but he did do Reform.
He did.
Still did very, very well. A quick word for you about this family voting scandal. I can't get worked up about it. It goes like this. It seems to me that people go, well, so what happens for 2 months? All the political parties, they go round Gorton and Denton trying to persuade people to vote for them. Vote for us, vote for us, vote for us. But if some dad in a family tries to persuade the rest of his family to vote for a political party, that's against the law. OK, I can see that they should be stopped from going into the same polling booths, but the idea that a father or a sort of community leader influences votes, why should that be illegal when a political party trying to influence the way people vote isn't illegal? See what I mean? I don't think it amounts to a hill of beans.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I mean, we can especially see, I could kind of understand if in the Runcorn and Helsby election where Sarah Pochen won by 6 votes, you would start to get your back up a little bit about that. But this was a clear win by the Greens. And I agree with you. Yes, it's a big issue, but I think it's a much more ingrained cultural issue that we're going to have in the future because of certain cultures that do have this more herd mentality. And like to do that sort of thing. I spoke to quite a few people in Gorton and Denton about this. Many people who voted for the Greens said, well, that's just how families are. Now, what I say is, no, my family's never herded me into an election booth and made me tick certain boxes, but unfortunately that's just the way it's going culturally in this country with certain voting groups, and I don't think there's much we can do to stop it. And, you know, seeing people that don't speak English, etc., having the right to vote in this country, you're going to have the son or the daughter there to help them tick whichever box. It's an issue, absolutely, but in this election I think it was fairly won by the Greens. We can't really go into even, you know, mentioning sectarianism, which is a thing. It's a little bit highfalutin and over-intellectualising the whole situation.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, I can see it's a problem. We certainly shouldn't allow whole families to go into the same booth.
No.
That needs to be stopped. But, you know, the dad or the community leader is only going to do the same outside the booth. Before you go in there, don't forget you've got to vote for this, you know, which in the end, don't forget, when you go in there, you vote for the Greens, which in the end is all that the political parties do, isn't it? When you go in there, vote for us.
Well, that's politics.
This family voting thing, I think, is overblown, but it's certainly not a factor in Gorton and Denton, because the majority for the Greens was more than 4,000. So as you say, if it was 6 votes, let's get our knickers in a twist. But I'm afraid that one is a dead duck in terms of undermining the Gorton and Denton results. It was a triumph for the Greens. Don't like it, didn't like their campaign, but it was a clever campaign. It was a sinister campaign, and it worked. Simple as that. So the worrying thing is, what happens at the general election? Are all the parties going to start doing this? I wouldn't put it past them.
Reform needs to start doing a couple social media videos in Urdu, that's what I'll say.
They will.
Yeah. If they want it. No, I'm joking.
If they want to.
I tell you what, I mean, people like Mamdani, as a journalist, I've got a lot of time for how they are able to move and shake people with their strategies and campaigns. It made the best sort of social media person win these days.
And if we're going to make people who can't speak English citizens, which we do, Urdu speakers or whatever, then it would actually be kind of wrong to stop political parties using their language to try and woo them. I'm afraid that's multiculturalism for you. So I'm against banning campaigning in foreign languages. In fact, I said
really, Kev?
Yeah, I am.
I
very much. I don't like banning things. I'm a libertarian, you know. So, but I don't like it. But I don't think we should ban it. If you want to do it, try it. Try it in Russian, whatever.
I think we'll probably go down the route of America, where, you know, you've even got Republican parties making, you know, Spanish ads, etc. So, I mean, this is just the changing demographic of England, and you can't unscramble the egg, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I mean, it's always, we're in a globalised world, really. We need to accept it, and I think this election has taught us one thing or two about that.
That's what politicians should be told, or this is what I think. If you can avoid passing a law or bringing in a new rule or a new regulation or a new diktat, if you can avoid that, bloody well do so. Samara Gill, fantastic stuff. Thank you very much. When we come back, we're going to talk about the migrant crisis, because the number of arrivals handed asylum by the Home Office has risen by 1/3. We are granting more migrants, illegal migrants, asylum than ever before. Isn't that special? That next, stay tuned.
We genuinely are on resignation watch. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Labour MPs, they say, listen, Keir, your position is untenable. This is all about appointing that rat, Peter Mandelson, who faces a criminal investigation.
Can Keir Starmer survive the Mandelson scandal? We have breaking news for you. We've just been talking about, of course, Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff. We've now had another resignation from Number 10. And Keir Starmer's Director of Communications, Tim Allen, has now also resigned. The plot is thickening. The noose is tightening.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It turns out that the number of migrant arrivals handed asylum by the Home Office, asylum seeker approvals, has risen by a third this year to 55,000. So when they say, oh, it's really good, the number of asylum seekers is coming down, the reason, folks, is this. It's because they are handing out permission to stay in this country willy-nilly. That way they get the numbers down. Let's talk to international border control expert Henry Bolton. I'm right, aren't I, Henry? They're massaging the figures by granting asylum far too easily.
Yes and no, Kev. The processing has speeded up. So they're attempting to clear the backlog. And actually, the refusals are also up. So, and the proportions, they always fluctuate a little bit every year, but roughly speaking, proportionally, in percentage terms, refusals and grants of asylum are pretty much what they normally are. But that of course has, when you're processing more applications, excuse me, then that means that the numbers are up, both refusals and acceptances. So that's part of it. But then the question is, if the refusals are up as well, deportations are not, certainly not as significantly. We've got actually more people in the UK whose asylum claim has been turned down, who are remaining here in the UK because we've not deported them. Now, that then begs the question as well, if the support, accommodation support, is down, which it is, but we've got more people here, both because we're accepting them and because they're, the accepted people can work, so they can rent accommodation, but the overall support is down. So where are these people who have been turned down for asylum? Where are they living? Because some of them, they must be living somewhere. They're either sleeping rough on the streets, or they're sleeping on people's sofas, or they are in fact working and in private rented accommodation.
So, I mean, but 55,000 migrants were handed refugee status, in other words, allowed to stay last year. 55,000. You know, the Labour's now boasting, oh, we've got the number of asylum seekers down to about 100,000 around the country. You know, and then they're trying to blind us with science, with claptrap about, oh, we're getting them out of hotels and into cheaper accommodation, houses of multiple occupation and military camps. Frankly, who cares? 55,000 were granted the permission to stay. Their asylum applications succeeded last year. 100,000 waiting. We are still looking at a situation that is out of control, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I'm not making any excuses. I'm not trying to justify and defend the government. Absolutely not. You know, the figures are up. The only thing that I'll give the government credit for is that they have speeded up, or they sped up the process of processing the claims.
That's good, Henry, ostensibly, but could it not be that in their urge to get rid of as many asylum seekers as possible by letting them stay, as soon as you say, right, your application is accepted, you could stay, then you lose an asylum seeker, so the figures come down. So in the government's desire to bring these numbers down, are they dropping standards in terms of who gets the thumbs up to stay?
I think inevitably they are. Inevitably. But as I say, the proportions haven't changed greatly. So there are three figures. The overall number that they're processing, which is up, the number of people who have been turned down, which is up, and the people who are allowed to stay, which is up. So all figures are up. And the one that concerns me the most, well, the number being granted asylum should be going down as well in my books. But the one that worries me the most is the people who have been turned down are rising faster than we're deporting people. So where are they? They're not they're moving out of the hotels. They're moving into some military camps, but they're also being moved into the community as well. Some are, the figures are clear that there's an unaccounted for number of people who've been turned down for asylum, who are living somehow on the economy and not being supported by the state. So my only conclusion is that these people are either being supported by friends and relatives, or they are working when they shouldn't be because it's unlawful for them to do so, and they're paying for rented accommodation. Just one other thing, Kevin, I'm sorry about this, but if I go back to your previous conversation about elections and language, I've always said that we must reduce the pull factors to the United Kingdom. As long as the UK is an attractive destination, then people will continue to come, and But one of those is we've got a big problem already in the United Kingdom with a high proportion of people who are particularly asylum seekers who are not being, unlike in Denmark, not being required to learn English. They are exempt from learning English. And that is one of the reasons why we have such a significant...
I get that, Henry. It's just that it is what it is. And if we have, for whatever reason, and I'm not approving of this, but we give citizenship to people who can't speak English. If we're going to do that, then we can't ban political parties from campaigning in foreign languages.
Look,
if we ban citizenship to anyone who can't speak English, then by all means ban political parties from campaigning in foreign languages.
That I agree with, Kevin, and that's my point. We're granting various types of sort of indefinite leave to remain and citizenship and whatever to people who don't speak English, don't understand the British culture, law, and so on. That is a pull factor. And I agree with you. But what we've got to do is, if you like, the Danish model that the Home Secretary says she replicates but doesn't, which is you don't get that status. Even if
I'm with you there, Henry. It's mad that we give citizenship to people who can't speak English, but if we do, you can't ban political parties from campaigning in their language. Can I just ask you before you go, Henry? This week, more than blink and you'd miss it, but we did have this little window of rather good weather. I think you live down in Kent, so you will have seen that for a day and a half the channel was like a mill pond. For weeks on end, no migrants came across at all. That's because it was stormy weather. We had this day and a half, and all of a sudden 600 migrants came across illegally in small boats to be welcomed into the bosom of Britain, the promised land, the usual stuff. Here's a hotel, here's £50 a week, free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers, all of that. So this continues apace. When the weather gets better, get ready. The invasion will begin again. So much for the tough-talking Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood's so-called crackdown that she made such a big thing about at the beginning of December. It's clearly not going to have any effect at all, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, it is having no effect. I've said that all the way along. Shabana Mahmood was sort of starting to saying many of the right words, giving some of the right indicators, but simply not doing it properly. The bottom line is that until this government or some government actually changes the entire principle of the thing and says, if we accept you as asylum seekers, it is as a temporary refuge. It does not lead to citizenship. It does not lead to full rights whatsoever. That's what the Danes have done. She keeps saying she's copying the Danes, as I say. She is not. The Danes have that principle. Here in the UK, we say if we let you in, the principle is that you've got a route into permanent
Absolutely.
residency.
Listen, it goes like this, Shabana Mahmood, Shabs, if you're watching, if you don't leave the European Convention on Human Rights, just shut your mouth because you're wasting your time. You will never solve the migrant crisis. Everybody knows that, apart from Labour politicians. Henry, great to talk to you. Have a lovely weekend. Henry Bolton there, International Border Control expert. Next up, I'm going to talk to Benedict Spence, political commentator. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. The main question I want to ask him is, why was Zara Phillips's royal husband, if you like, rugby hero Mike Tindall, why is he under fire? Because he was spotted wearing a baseball cap emblazoned with "Make England Great Again." Apparently that is a terrible crime. Why is that? Why is another one of these stories about how many people just seem to hate this country, isn't it? We'll also talk about the Quran burner. Remember the Quran burner? He has been backed by judges who overturned his conviction. So in other words, he was convicted for burning a Quran outside the Turkish embassy, as I remember, in Knightsbridge. They said this was some sort of criminal act, and we don't have any blasphemy laws, so people said, why? Well, that conviction was overturned. Then they appealed again. Anyway, he has been supported again. So he is allowed to do what he did, which I think is a good thing. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk to political commentator Benedict Spence. Welcome, Benedict.
Good afternoon, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Well, let's first of all talk about Mike Tindall, Princess Anne's son-in-law, married to Zara Phillips, of course, a royal husband and rugby hero. He's spotted wearing a "Make England Great Again" hat, baseball cap, and has been slammed for this. People saying I did not look at that and think rugby. This is totally wrong, and so on and so forth. This isn't a good look coming from the royal family. This is all on Twitter. Pretty low, and so on and so forth. Really, have we come to this, that a guy like Mike Tindall, and obviously this is a reference to the England Rugby Club, but people are taking it as some sort of national Trump-esque statement like "Make America Great Again," and they're piling in on him on social media. Well, it's a bad look from a member of the royal family. You shouldn't do this. What is it about this country, people in this country, that they hate their country so much?
Yeah, I think that there's an awful lot of bored people with not much going on, and they sort of focus all of their vitriol at the very country that they live in. I mean, yeah, as you say, this this is very clearly a reference to the England rugby team, and frankly, I think it makes a very good point. The England rugby team is not good enough. It's nowhere near as good as it should be. And, I think that simply making the slogan that we'd quite like to improve it, therefore make England great again, we're quite good at this. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think every England fan would agree it would be great if we could make the rugby team good again. This whole thing about it being, the bad luck for the royal family. Listen, he wasn't born into the royal family. He married into it, and he didn't do it for status or anything like that. He did it because of the person that he met. Actually, I think it's pretty unfair for people to sort of equate this with being a member of the royal family. He is first and foremost a rugby player, well, former rugby player. That's what he's known for. That's what he likes to talk about. That's clearly how he's appearing in this context on a show to discuss rugby. How it is that it's possible for people not to be able to put two and two together, well, your guess is as good as mine.
I'll tell you something else, though, Benedict. I wouldn't mind if he was wearing it in the Trump way, if he was actually wearing a hat to say, let's make England great again, because let's face it, it isn't all that great at the moment. That's what people object to. It's not the rugby. I mean, you're right. People are saying, oh, well, this doesn't really look like it's about rugby. Well, good. I mean, they're objecting to the fact that he's wearing a patriotic hat that suggests, some kind of Trumpian plan to make England great again. What is wrong with the idea of making England great again? Why do these people hate that notion so much?
I don't know, but it's an interesting thing, isn't it? And I think it's very interesting also coming in against the backdrop of the by-election that we've just had, where, you had, apart from the allegations that we've had about sort of voter misconduct, you've had campaign literature being handed out in Bangla and in Urdu, and you've had campaign videos being shot in foreign languages, and you've had frankly, things being pushed that most people would consider not British values, not even British at all, if we're being honest, not a British way of behaving. Why is it that this is considered acceptable, A? Or more, why is it that it is unacceptable to turn around and say, I don't like this? Why is it so unacceptable for people to say, well, look, this is a country called England. It should be entirely possible for you to portray a desire for that country to improve and to remain England. What's so unacceptable about this? I think that this is what irritates so many normal people, which is to say they don't consider their identity bad or malevolent or negative. They are who they are, and they wish to be proud of this. Why is it that there are so many other people in society who deem this wicked? I don't understand why it is, and I don't see it ending particularly well.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get myself a Make England Great Again cap and wear it around. I've actually got a MAGA hat, a MAGA baseball cap, with a big Make America Great Again, big picture of Trump. And, I live in a rather trendy area of London, Hampstead, and one of my favourite pastimes is to wear it down the high streets. I get a lot of bad looks, I'll tell you. Now, let's talk about something potentially more serious. Well, it is more serious. The Quran burner, Hamid Koskan. Now, this has been a circuitous route to some kind of decent decision, if you ask me. He was originally... He objects to Islam. He's an atheist. He believes he has been persecuted under that religion. He's from Turkey. He was found guilty of a religiously aggravated public order offence after shouting F Islam and holding a flaming text of the Quran outside the embassy of Turkey there. So he was convicted last June of that, which many people said, well, we're not supposed to have blasphemy laws in this country, so religiously aggravated public order offence sounds suspiciously like a blasphemy offence under a different disguise. He appealed against this conviction, and it was overturned in October, so that was good. The judge then said the right to freedom of expression must include the right to express views that offend, shock and disturb. Quite right. The Crown Prosecution Service, talking of disturbing, very disturbingly, in my view, appealed and challenged that overturning of the conviction and said that this guy should get the book thrown at him. Anyway, so that has gone to to court, and finally the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, has been told to do one, and in fact Mr. Koskan has been exonerated, and he is now free of this entire saga, free of this offence. So in the end, our courts have decided that it is legal to burn the Quran and insult the Islamic religion in public as a protest if you want to, which is right. But what concerns me is that he was convicted in the first place, and it really concerns me that after that conviction was overturned, the Crown Prosecution Service appealed that overturning and said, no, we must be allowed to convict people for burning the Quran for religiously aggravated public order offences. I think religiously aggravated public order offences should be thrown out. They should not exist.
Part of the reasoning behind why it was that he should have been prosecuted was that he was assaulted as part of this. And the reasoning was that because he was violently assaulted, he must therefore have done something to warrant the assault. That, I think, is partly what makes a lot of this quite sinister. Because what we are effectively, or the Crown Prosecution are effectively trying to then say, is, as you say, a blasphemy rule by the back door, which is that if you provoke somebody to be violent, you are somehow in the wrong yourself. And I think what we see here is the machinations of the state, which understands that we have large numbers of people in this country now, we didn't used to, but we do now, for whatever reason, who consider the sanctity of their own religion more important than the right of anybody else to free expression, and that there is such a large critical mass of them, A, and B, that they may be prone to violence if they see this behavior happening, that it might be difficult, therefore, to police them. So what we are seeing, therefore, is an attempt at our civil liberties to be eroded in the name of maintaining what they say, community relations, cohesion, to try to stop a critical mass of people turning violent if they feel that their religion has been insulted. We all understand that there's a huge double standard here, because there isn't actually another religion in the United Kingdom whose adherents frequently turn to violence when it is insulted. So it is, therefore, a rule that would only apply to one group. That is, as we say, two-tier policing in this country. It is right that this has been thrown out. It was nonsense that they attempted to do this. But I fully understand why they attempted to do it, because successive governments have welcomed in millions of people to this country who actually don't really adhere to the British value of free speech at all, because they might think free speech is fine for all sorts of things, except for one thing, their religion. Their religion must be exempt from all that. Fundamentally, that is not in line with the average British person's idea of free speech.
And if you remember, the guy who attacked the Quran burner, the man who attacked Hamid Koskan, he came running out of a building with a knife. Slashing at him, said, "I'm going to kill you," went berserk. I'm afraid another one of these Muslims who seems to believe, who seem to delude themselves that it is somehow in this country against the law to insult their religion. It isn't. We don't have blasphemy laws. Now, this guy, I've seen the attack, very, very serious attack. Shout, "I'm going to kill it," slashing him like this, going berserk. When he went to court, what was his name? His name was Musa Kadri, 59. When he went to court, he was spared jail. Again, he should not have been spared jail, but he was. So going light on a Muslim who broke our law in the deluded belief that it's against the law to insult his religion. We've got a problem with the Islamic community in particular, and their lack of understanding that we do not have blasphemy laws in this country. And the reason we don't, Benedict, is this is the 21st century, not the Middle Ages.
Yeah, and this also, of course, it goes back to the story that we had earlier in the week, or was it late last week?
Yeah.
The policewoman in East London who was accosted by several members of whatever local community it was, because there was a
Whitechapel,
preaching Christianity, and them saying, "You need to do something about this man. You need to arrest him because this is a Muslim area and he's insulting us." And she said, "No, I don't, and you don't have to listen to him. You can go inside and you can move on." And the problem is, The reason why this is so unusual now, and we're finally saying, oh my word, isn't it a good thing that this sort of thing is happening? Because far too often in the past, actually police forces have attempted to appease the very people who come out and say, we must not be insulted, our religion must not be insulted, and you must punish those who do. We think about the Batley school teacher. We think about, of course, the decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv from Birmingham, not because they'd actually done anything, but because they might inflame the local community. Too often, actually, what is given priority are the feelings of people before they've even actually been insulted. Often often nothing has actually happened to insult them. They just sense that they might get insulted and that shouldn't be allowed. And we cannot permit ourselves to get to a position where that is prioritized over the rights of ordinary men and women to just express themselves.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Very good allegory there, because that lady copper, one of the Muslims, saying you can't let this guy preach Christianity here, this is a Muslim area. He actually is on film saying, I called the police because this guy insulted our religion. This guy called the Prophet Muhammad a donkey. That's why I called the police. Well, I mean, technically, that guy should be prosecuted for wasting police time, because that is not an offence. And this is the problem. They think that if you insult Islam, and I'm not condoning calling the Prophet a donkey. That's a very rude and nasty thing to do. I'm not condoning insulting anybody's religion. But if they think it's against the law, they got another thing coming. It just isn't. That is our problem. Well said, Benedict. Good to talk to you, mate. Have a great weekend. Benedict Spence there, political commentator. When we come back, we're going to talk to Jake Sanders, sports news editor at The Sun, about the upcoming weekend of sports. Stick around.
We genuinely are on resignation watch. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Labour MPs, they say, listen, Keir, your position is untenable. This is all about appointing that rat, Peter Mandelson, who faces a criminal investigation.
Can Keir Starmer survive the Mandelson scandal? We have breaking news for you. We've just been talking about, of course, Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff. We've now had another resignation from Number 10. And Keir Starmer's Director of Communications, Tim Allen, has now also resigned. The plot is thickening, the noose is tightening.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Jake Sanders from The Sun is in the studio. We're going to talk about the sport, a good big weekend of sport as ever. Arsenal have learnt their road to the Budapest final. It will be easy. They've been handed an ideal route.
So the new format of the Champions League, which started last season, means that once the knockouts draw is made, you can sort of plot pretty much your entire route to the final. So Arsenal will play Leverkusen in the last 16, and then Sporting Lisbon or Bodo Glimt in the quarter-final. So that looks pretty favourable, especially compared to Man City, who've got Real Madrid, title rivals, obviously, which gives Arsenal a slight advantage. And those two can't meet to the final. Newcastle have got Barcelona, Chelsea have got PSG, and Tottenham have got Atletico Madrid. So Arsenal have definitely been handed the kindest route.
Yeah, you're a Spurs fan. Spurs have got this kind of weird split personality this season, haven't they? They'll probably do very well against Atletico Madrid, but they'll lose about 12-0 to Fulham on Sunday, right?
Yeah, they don't. A bit like last season, they don't really do Premier League games. They've got something.
We don't do domestic.
No, they don't really like domestic games. So I know there's been a lot made about Tottenham possibly playing in the Champions League next season in the Championship if they were to win the Champions League, which seems a bit of a tall order. But I wonder how the EFL and whoever sorts out the fixtures, the FA would
funny, wouldn't it? Yeah.
deal with playing in the Championship.
Yeah, I don't think you go down, but it's safe to say it has not been a triumphant season. That's it, is it? No.
No, well, it's not. There's not much more to say. Need a result against Fulham, and to be honest, this Champions League draw doesn't hold much significance right now for Spurs fans, because staying in the Premier League is much more important. So
I reckon Sunday. I reckon I'll be there. I reckon it's going to be a draw.
Wouldn't be a terrible result for Spurs, the way things have gone.
I'd take that. I'm a Fulham fan. I'll always take a draw, because we usually expect to lose. Let's move on. Gareth Southgate speaks out on management. What's he been saying?
So he's done an interview on a podcast, and he's sort of, he's been touted for the Man United job and been touted for a few jobs since he left England after Euro 2024. Basically said he would be a difficult hire for anyone because he's got a lot of baggage. But then he also went on to say he would have done a better job than some Premier League managers have done. So he didn't name any names, but you can only imagine maybe he means Ruben Amorim at Man United, maybe Thomas Frank at Tottenham. He's not managed...
what is he doing at the moment, Southgate?
Not a lot. Sort of taking
he's just
bit
like
of a step
speaking
back
out
and,
like a guru now.
I mean, yeah. He's obviously, been in that intense environment for, 6-7 years and done a load of tournaments, and now, obviously, England are with Tuchel, and he's just, minding his own business, probably getting a bit of a rest.
Do you expect him to return to a big club before too long?
I don't know. He did say in this podcast that he's got no passion to manage in the Premier League. He sort of said, I think the teams he referenced were Brighton and Bournemouth. Do I want to manage a team in 12th or 13th in the Premier League after being England manager? And
tell you, the way things are going, there might be a vacancy in Liverpool. I mean, Carrick's not confirmed at United, is he? Although he's doing very well.
I don't know whether a team that big with that much pressure, although he's obviously used to the pressure, would look to Southgate, given his lack of management in club football.
My it's just purely speculative. My feeling about Southgate is he's got, he's lauded now. He's had a great career as greatish as an England manager, and I think he thinks if he goes and sort of manages someone like Brighton or even Man United, he might spoil his reputation.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not a huge amount to gain, in no disrespect to a team like Brighton or Palace or Brentford, because it's sort of keeping them in the Premier League and finishing the top half. So
exactly right, and he's got enough money, so maybe he'll just sort of stay on the sidelines, making proclamations like a guru. England extend their run to cricket, the T20 World Cup, with stunning win over New Zealand.
Yeah, so they're in the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. They look like they might just be edged out by New Zealand, but a good partnership at the end saw them through. And they will play either West Indies or co-host India in next week's semi-final. So hopefully it's the start of a World Cup double in 2026, the cricket and then the football.
Well, we just talked about, finally, Jake, we just talked about the big one, Fulham and Spurs on Sunday. But seriously, the Premiership games tomorrow are not that fascinating, but a fascinating one on Sunday, Arsenal-Chelsea.
Yeah, so every Arsenal game is massive at the moment. Obviously, they're in pursuit of this first Premier League title for 22 years. They don't come much bigger than Chelsea. Obviously, they had the North London derby last weekend, but Chelsea carries a bit of weight as well. They're obviously London rivals, and Chelsea on the back of a few bad results, and they also beat them in the League Cup semi-final recently. So massive pressure on Arsenal. They've got this good Champions League draw. There's a lot of talk about the quadruple, but I think most Arsenal fans would want this Premier League more than any other.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of Spurs, I mean, Arsenal looked very good against you guys, Spurs, you're a Spurs fan, last Sunday, wasn't it? They looked very good, 4-1 and all that. Would it be okay if when you come to Craven Cottage on Sunday you play like you did at the Emirates? Because Spurs were dreadful.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully there'll be two away wins in these two London derbies. Yeah. Tottenham and Chelsea.
Not if you play like you did against Arsenal.
No, well, obviously, hopefully, Fulham don't have the sort of pool of talent that
You say, Jake. Well,
they've got plenty of good players, but
we can be good on our day. We can be good on our day. It'll be an interesting game, but I think I'll admit that Arsenal-Chelsea slightly more interesting. So thank you very much, Jake. Excellent sport roundup. Big weekend of sport ahead. Check it all out in the Sun tomorrow. We'll be back in a minute with Graham Linehan to talk about the big stories of the day. Be there.
Fancy returning to the front line as Foreign Secretary?
I am going to return. I am going to return.
To
the people from whence I came.
Hello, I'm Peter Mandelson, and I'm proud to serve as His Majesty's British Ambassador to the United States of America.
I feel a tremendous sense, a profound sense of sympathy for those people, those women who suffered as a result of his behaviour and his illegal criminal activities. And secondly, I regret very, very deeply indeed carrying on that association with him for far longer than I should have done.
The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
Mandy's out 4 decades and 3 scandals, or 3 that we know about. Guess what? Number 10 knew all about it. They knew that he lived in Jeffrey Epstein's flat.
Mandelson resigned from the Labour Party late last night over the allegation of the $75,000 set of payments to him from Epstein while he was business secretary, $10,000 to his now husband, a photo of him in his pants. This isn't just bad form. There are strong arguments here for him to be facing investigation over misconduct in public office.
I knew of his association with Epstein, but had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him.
Breaking news that Lord Mandelson, Peter Mandelson, has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt. This is the establishment, the British establishment on trial. Came to us around about 5 o'clock when we learned that we saw footage of Peter Mandelson being led out of his London home in very exclusive Regent's Park by 3 coppers.
Now we have all these allegations, we have all the documentation related to those allegations, which Downing Street is being forced to put out. The first tranche of it will be early next month.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back for the next 20 minutes or so. I'm very pleased to welcome to the show Father Ted, creator, comic genius, also, of course, a campaigner on trans rights or that kind of issue, Graham Linehan. Welcome, Graham.
I'd say women's rights.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was struggling for the right term there. Sorry, excuse me.
Thank you. No worries, Kevin. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Listen, I want to talk about, I know you want to, and I want to talk about it as well, the spectre of anti-Semitism in your native country, Ireland. Let's do that in a second, but I hope you don't mind if we kick off on what happened in Gorton and Denton last night, a sort of triumph for the Green Party. And the leader of the Green Party, Zach Polansky, is a man, and the party themselves, so does the new MP for Gorton and Denton, firmly believe that a woman can have a penis. Here is Zach Polansky confirming that strange view, in my view, to Piers Morgan. Just take a look at that.
Can a woman have a penis?
Yes. It's going to take them a long time on the National Health Service to get rid of it, but that's another separate problem.
All right. I think we'll leave it on a woman can have a penis. People can
I think you're lacking nuance and complexity about a pretty complicated
Not really. You couldn't have been clearer.
I'm clear, because actually when you want to look at the science...
You were crystal clear. Ask a simple question.
But you're laughing at it, which I think demeans trans people.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What have you got against trans people? Why are you punching down? Why are you not saying
nothing against
the real
trans
problem
people?
in this
I've already
country?
told you that I think trans people...
You sound like you have a huge problem with trans people.
No. It sounds to me like you don't understand what a woman is, which I think is a huge problem for someone leading a party in this country.
A woman is a gender.
Sorry?
You said what's a woman?
No,
a woman is a gender.
Biological
and gender
female.
is complicated.
No.
Gender is a spectrum.
It's not complicated. A woman is a biological
gender a spectrum? Is it that binary?
Do you think people are born male and female?
Not necessarily.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think it's more complicated than
It's
that.
not more complicated, Zach.
Well, it's not more complicated than that if you're a TV show host who wants to make it binary and ridiculous.
Zach, you're going to have to work
actually, if
this
you want to
stuff
have
out,
a
mate,
nuanced conversation that actually reflects science,
you know, when I asked you if you
and
want to be
information...
when I asked you if you want to be Prime Minister, there is not a cat in hell's chance of you ever becoming Prime Minister if you don't know what a woman is. The UK Supreme Court has made it crystal clear.
But that's
what a
not the
woman is.
Supreme Court's job. The Supreme Court's job is to look at legislation
Lay down the law
and
of
then
the
make a
land.
legal ruling.
OK. So you know more than the Supreme Court?
Well, yes, actually, in this case, yes, I do.
So, Graham, I like that. My favourite bit of that is when Piers starts laughing, and Zach, you believe a woman can have a penis. Piers starts laughing. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? I'll tell you why we're laughing, Zach, because it is comically absurd. Now, much as we can laugh at that idiot Polansky and his idiot party, they won a stunning victory last night, and it is projected that they could win as many as 100 seats at the next election. Certainly, a Conservative estimate is about 35 seats, and they are going to carry Zach Polansky's absurd views on women having penises into Parliament and become very influential. Kind of worrying, don't you think?
Well, I mean, you heard him there. I mean, like what he did there in the Piers Morgan interview is he ran through the most common trans talking points, which are all, once you pick at them, are absolute nonsense. No, it's not more complicated than that. You know, you're trying to make it complicated because you kind of like to corral all your equally mad friends in the Green Party who believe in this stuff. You know, it is nonsense. And he also said a very revealing thing there. If you listen, he said, he said, can a woman have a penis? And he said something like, yeah, and it'll take them a long time to get rid of it. You know, the NHS. And it's like, what are you talking about? You know, that's not healthcare, you idiot. And you know, it just proves to me that Polansky is what he always was. He's a grifter. He started off hypnotizing women, promising them he could make their breasts grow larger, and now he seems to be achieving a similar thing with the British public. You know, but like those women, they're going to be very disappointed. He is insane, and he's also indulging in one of the most dangerous things a left-winger can indulge in, which is cozying up to Islamist fundamentalists, you know, and I think it's really worrying, especially with the rise of anti-Semitism, which I know we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we are, and he called me old-fashioned, Graham, but when he says a woman is a gender, yeah, okay, it's a gender.
What does that mean?
It's also a sex. You know,
Yeah,
a woman, a female is a sex. Now, semantically, we seem to have reached a point where people like Zach Polanski have managed to separate the meaning of your biological sex to what they call gender. It used to be, when I was younger, gender meant the same as biological sex, and in my book, it still does. A woman is your sex. You are born with the sex, female sex. That is the point. So he's saying, oh, it's just a construct. It's just a construct. This nonsensical thinking should be consigned to the scrap heap of history, but Polanski and his Green Goblin maniacs are going to put it first and forefront on the political agenda again, aren't they?
Yeah, and you notice how men are never a gender. You know, or men are never called cervix havers or uterus havers or pregnant people, or, you know, I mean, it would be funny, but these are terms even the NHS is using, the most demeaning, demoralizing terms for women. And you know, and these guys are kind of spreading it to the extent that it may get another few years in this country when it's dying everywhere else. I don't know if you saw, but the New York Times recently published a major story about how trans healthcare, you know, the penis that Zach wants to get rid of, is actually, you know, a contradiction in terms. There's no such thing as trans healthcare. You know, they are mutilating, sterilizing these people who are very vulnerable and have been told by people like Zach Polanski that if they cut off their penis, they'll magically become a woman. It's outrageous. And one of the reasons it's been happening is because, as you say, gender and sex have been muddled together in such a way that no one really knows what's being talked about.
They're the same thing, Graham. They're the same thing. Gender and sex.
If you want to stay planted on firm ground, never use the word gender. Just say sex.
Yeah.
You know, and every time they try and change the subject to gender, ask them, what does gender mean? Where is my gender? Where in my brain is my gender?
Yeah.
You know? And that'll shut them up pretty fast.
And also put them in their place and tell them, here's how many genders there are. 2.
Yeah, I know, but you see, the thing is, they will muddle that, and they'll say to you, oh, no, there's millions of identities, and that's what gender is. So always say sex, and they won't be able to get past you.
I'm going to do that from now on, but you know, also I think gender means the same as sex, so I'm with you on that one. Just a quick word of what you just alluded to, Graham. You said that you thought it was very dangerous the way the Green Party courted the Islamic vote in Gorton and Denton. I mean, they were even speaking in Urdu. Their campaign was very much free Palestine, pro-Gaza, anti-Israel. Kind of disturbing and sinister to see that as a platform in an election, a by-election in Great Britain.
Yeah, well, I mean, the response to October 7th, 2023 has been one of the most bizarre things I've seen since the trans movement. You know, the Jewish state was invaded. Young girls were killed and raped at a music festival. Families were killed in front of each other while their killers filmed it on GoPros, phoned their mothers and said how happy they were that they were killing Jews. And the British public and the Irish public, which I find even more bizarre, immediately supported the people who did it. I've never seen anything like it. It goes against everything I thought human beings were capable of. And the fact that it is not only did Israel not get sympathy for this horrific attack, but people attacked them. I was in London a couple of days after October 7th, and I happened to go into Westminster, and people were already out on the street supporting Hamas. So I think that it's incredibly dangerous. I think Zach Polanski is an absolute moron who will really harm this country if he gets much further. He's got to be stopped for all manner of reasons. He's the face of the new left, which is losing supporters across the board. No one wants any of the stuff they're selling, and yet they kind of struggle on simply because so many people are so disinterested in politics, you know. And if people want to, you know, make sure they don't, like people think it's kind of funny or interesting to have a crazy leader. It's not. It's not. It's very dangerous.
Well,
They don't. These are dangerous times.
They don't just have a crazy leader; they're a crazy party. And you called Zach Polanski a moron. I think that's very unfair to morons. Let's move on and talk about the anti-Semitism in Ireland. I'm reading this that RTE, the big TV channel there, will now broadcast two Ireland games against Israeli teams, but it seems to be doing so reluctantly, emphasising that the only reason it is doing so is because it's legally obliged to. So there are these calls to boycott Israeli sports events in Ireland, even televising them, continue apace. I mean, is there a big anti-Semitism problem in Ireland?
Oh, you know, despite everything that I just said about the UK, I think it's worse in Ireland. It is, and also it just seems to be sports hacks. You know, they for some reason, every sports journalist in Ireland turns out to be a Nazi. It's incredible. You know, and also, I mean, when your introduction there, RTE saying they won't broadcast.
Well, they will, but only because they're legally obliged to.
Yes, absolutely. But you know, what kind of television company is saying things like that out loud? They simply believe that everyone else agrees with them about you know, the morality of the Gaza conflict. You know, it's like, no, it wasn't a genocide. It was actually a very targeted war. And you know, the fact that RTE, it's like you know, you wouldn't have talkTV. You do you know what I mean? And so that, like, when they say you know, we're going to under pressure, we're going to show it. You're the national TV channel. You're the national TV channel. Of course you're going to show it. It's Ireland versus another team. But left-wing activism has become so normalized in Irish society that no one thinks anything of it. It's extraordinary.
So you have many people in Ireland who think that when Aston Villa, or rather the local police in Birmingham, banned Jewish football fans from attending a game against Villa, the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, the people around Ireland, or many people in Ireland, think that was a very statesmanlike, excellent decision.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. I mean, I don't quite entirely blame the Irish people. Again, they're being let down by a media that has been stringing them along for years. You know, famously, Ireland has the very controversial practice of self-ID, and that's simply because the media just looked the other way while the vote was happening and didn't inform people about what it was going to be. So Ireland is really suffering because of its media. But also, you know, I don't know whether you know this, but in a lot of TV, in a lot of households in Ireland, we get BBC. And the BBC has lied about, or has broken its own editorial guidelines on the Gaza conflict over 1,500 times. So people are getting their information from basically stenographers for Hamas, you know?
Unbelievable. Listen, great. Can I ask you a personal question? You're over there in the States now, aren't you? You were, of course, famously, notoriously cancelled, once arrested for daring to post something that the trans community considered to be offensive, arrested by armed coppers at Heathrow Airport. So you were cancelled for a long time. You were never cancelled on this channel and never would be. But how are you getting on now? Have you managed to revive your once glittering career?
Well, you know, I'm writing more than I have been able to in years. You know, because, you know, while I was in the UK, the harassment was so constant that I just never got a breath to actually sit down and write something. So we've written a film and we've written a TV series, like a whole TV series. I've never done that before. But it's, I mean, what I mean is, you know, before it getting commissioned. So it's just kind of great and new and strange and far from, you know, the people who cancelled me and the so-called friends who you know, look the other way.
Yeah. So, do you find in the States that people are far more amenable to your worldview?
Oh. Yeah, they don't care. I mean, no one cares over here. It's so like, if you saw what ordinary Americans, they barely, like a lot of people, they barely know all this stuff is happening, you know?
Yeah.
And thank God that the Trump administration have been so persistent in saying, yes, it's happening. Kids are being hurt. You know, men should not be going into women's toilets. Men should not be in women's sports. These are very basic things to say. And thank God the Trump administration is saying them. I feel a lot safer here. Did you hear about that guy in Canada who was fined $750,000 because he said he wouldn't teach gender ideology? You know?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's
I'll tell you what, Graham, when old Trump got in, was it a couple of years ago, and all my, I used to live in Los Angeles, so all my left-wing Democrat American friends said, we're coming to live in Britain, we're gonna come over there, we're gonna get away from it. I said, well, I'll see you at the airport, because I'm going to be flying the other way. I'm going to go to back to America. How about, just one last question, how about a Father Ted Christmas special? What do you think?
Oh God, no. I mean, look, it would have made sense as a musical, which it nearly was.
Yeah, because you nearly did that, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, Hat-Trick, and Jimmy Mulville basically told me to gave me £200,000 to walk away because they wanted me to, you know, collaborate in the smearing of my own name. So I said no, and they just dumped it. You know, it's one of the most unbelievable acts of vandalism that I can think of. You know, because it was a very good piece. It was really, really funny, and the songs were great.
Well, you know, the cancellation of you, somebody who contributed some of the greatest comedy we've ever seen on television, remains a massive disgrace. It really does. And it's always great to talk to you, Graham. Good to have you on the show. Thank you very much. Graham Linehan, Father Ted writer, women's rights campaigner, got cancelled. Got on the wrong side of the trans community. You don't want to do that, do you? With his views on Zach Polanski, women, penises, and anti-Semitism in Ireland. You get everything on this show. Next up, we're going to talk to Angela Levin about that weird pretend royal tour by Harry and Meghan of Jordan in the Middle East. Well, a lot of us are going, what the hell is that all about? Why are they doing it? Well, turns out that the Foreign Office now are distancing themselves from the gruesome twosomes' weird trip to the Middle East. What on earth do you think they were doing? We'll also talk about Fergie, because the freeloading Fergie, because the extent to which she scrounged off her paedophile friend Jeffrey Epstein has just been revealed. I'll tell you all about that in just a minute, so you better stay tuned.
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in third place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, what your gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman, what you are physically, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now let's talk. We talked the other day about Harry and Meghan. They spent 2 days this week, no one knows why, in Jordan, a pretend royal tour where they posed for lots of pictures. They were invited there by China's favourite health organisation, the World Health Organization. They visited refugee camps. They got photographed next to sick children. It was all very heart-rending. Meghan wore $1,000 desert outfits, designer label, posed for the cameras with a football. Oh, it was all very, very special. Most of us could not work out what the hell this weird couple were doing there. It's a pretend royal tour. It's the third one they've done. They went to Nigeria, they went to Colombia. What are they playing at? Anyway, the Jordanian royal family refused to meet them because they're good friends with William and Kate. And now the Foreign Office has officially distanced itself from this pretend royal tour, saying damningly that it was inappropriate. Couldn't agree more. Let's find out what my next guest royal biographer Angela Levin thinks. Do you agree, Angela, that this trip was entirely inappropriate?
Yeah, totally. But the whole reason for them, I think, is that Meghan can have lots of pictures taken of herself. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. She has to be shown. She wants to be there for the camera. And that's what she does. So if she goes on these phony sort of visits, she feels good because she's sort of there. Everybody looks at her, and she's got lots of changes of dresses and shoes and everything. Even if it's 2 days, she keeps on changing everything. Seems like every half hour, really. And that's what she does it for. Yeah. I mean, what's annoying me, well, there's lots annoying me, but one of the things that annoys me is that she's becoming very obviously turning up without being invited.
Yeah.
I mean, most of us, we know that we wait till we're invited. Paris Fashion Week, October 2025, she turned up and she was in that taxi that went very near Diana's tunnel, which Harry always wanted to avoid because it was so painful. But she went there, so that's one thing. Then she went to this party, Kardashians, Kris Jenner, November 2025, and 70th birthday. She wasn't invited. They turned up, and she got very angry that she didn't want the
pictures taken. Well, let's just analyse what happened in Jordan. As you say, Angela, they turned up at a party to mark Iftar, the meal eaten by Muslims at sunset to break their fast during Ramadan. The British ambassador there, Philip Hall, threw a party for the local community, and the Sussexes turned up. Now, they delivered their attendance at this British embassy function as justification for their visit, as if it was somehow made official. Well, it turns out they were not invited. and had not been involved in arranging this trip because they are private citizens. Former Tory Minister Tim Loughton said that it was entirely inappropriate that they were guests at the Ambassador Mr Hall's function, but then again it's not Mr Hall's fault because they weren't invited, they just turned up. What on earth are this bizarre pair playing at?
Well, this playing game is that if they can get in where it's an English embassy, wherever it is Jordan, that somehow they've made an extra step to be part of the royal family because they've agreed that they are still one step in and one step out of the royal family. Well, that's not right at all. You can't do that. And actually, for them to be with Hamas, which she was there, and saying a lot of things that were absolutely appalling, that they will think that it's the English way of looking at things and it will affect the royal family. And they are looking all the time to try and undermine the UK and its head of King Charles. They want to crash it down. This was a wonderful opportunity to get the royal, the English embassy to accept them.
Yeah, and they put it try to legitimise them. At the British ambassador's residence for iftar as day one closed with a renewed sense of urgency and resolve. They crashed that party and the Foreign Office has let it be known that their attendance there was inappropriate. They are trying to legitimise their presence in Jordan. There was no legitimacy to it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yes, they want to do that so that they feel that they're English and part of the royal family, and they're not. Yeah. So they're just ordinary people now. Yeah. And that's what they want to be, but they're playing games here. I think it's the most disgusting thing they've done, actually, to do this, because it will affect anybody English. And you can't just do that. Yeah. You can't do that. It makes them look even worse than they have been, and I can tell you that's quite a lot anyway.
Yeah, as we discussed the other day, there's no doubt this is tit-for-tat publicity blitzing by Meghan, who's obsessed with William and Kate, the Prince and Princess of Wales. William, of course, just 2 weeks ago was in the Middle East on a tour of Saudi Arabia. Jordan is William and Kate's favourite country. Kate used to live there when she was a kid. This is classic Meghan headline hunting and trying to get one over on the Prince and Princess of Wales. You're right, it's a sickening spectacle. I don't know what the hell they think they're doing. Just before you go, let me ask you about Sarah Ferguson. Freeloading Fergie. This is astonishing. So we already knew, disgracefully, that she and Beatrice and Eugenie flew to Florida 5 days after their pedo pal Jeffrey Epstein was released from jail after serving 13 months in jail for a child sex abuse offence. It was actually soliciting prostitution from a minor. So he'd just been released from jail 5 days earlier. They flew to see him at his Florida mansion where they dined on lasagna prepared by his Parisian chef. And, we already knew that Fergie had cadged the airfares off of Epstein, but it turns out that what he initially did was pay for their business class flights, tickets, and Fergie got that wasn't good enough for her, and she went begging to him saying, can't you upgrade this to first class? I think the total airfare for the three of them would have been about £30,000. But
she went on and on and on, didn't she?
Yeah,
on and on and on.
Yeah, business class not good enough. Jeffrey, you're paying for business class, but can't you pay for first class? This woman, I mean, of all the disgraceful members of the royal family, Andrew, Harry, Fergie takes the biscuit, doesn't she?
Yes, it's a surprise because it's even worse than we thought, actually. She's just incredibly greedy about money. And actually, to take the children there, he wasn't allowed out at that time. He'd got out of prison, but he had to be at home. So, they had the party at home with him. Unbearable, actually, with two girls that age 20 and 19. Ideal for him. I mean, it makes me sick.
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not funny, is it?
No, it's gasping, really.
It really is ghastly. Awful, awful. The royal family, I mean, you've got to feel... I've been looking at the King last week or so. I mean, I hope he's getting better, and we understand his battle against cancer is going well. But my God, he looks strained. He looks strained at the moment. He doesn't look well, and I blame, obviously, his awful brother Andrew, for the trouble he's got the entire royal family into. But I also blame Harry. The king will have looked on this trip that his ridiculous second son took to Jordan, and that would have made matters even worse. The poor old monarch is under a lot of stress. He does not look well.
A huge amount of stress, actually, because, I mean, he did love Harry very much, and yet he's behaving more and more badly every day, isn't he? It's just terrible for him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he knows quite what to do. I think it's a real shame for him, actually. And
he's a decent guy, and he's surrounded by these awful people, his brother and his second son, and I think it's a shame. Angela, could talk to you for a lot longer, but I better go. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you very much. Angela Levin, royal biographer, on that weird tour. The Foreign Office just distancing themselves from Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan say, well, no, we were officially invited to a party at the British Embassy, so it must be legitimate. No, they weren't. No, they were not. They crashed it. Unbelievable. 0344 499 1000. We're going to go to a break now, and we're going to go all the way to 7 o'clock. We've got lots of calls, obviously, because of Gorton and Denton and all the other big stories flashing around. So get on the phone. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Very interested on your take on what happened in that by-election last night. A stunning, slightly worrying victory for the weirdo Greens. Also, Winston Churchill's statue. What the hell is that all about? Zionist war criminal and other revolting slogans graffitied all over the statue, the Westminster statue of our greatest leader. What's going on? 0344 499 1000. Get on the phone, let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. That next. Stick around.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. A little plug for me, of course. If you go to YouTube right now, you can watch this week's Plank of the Week, hosted by me. Here is a little clip.
If my kid said he wanted to wear a dress when he was younger, I wouldn't have let him out the house. I would have locked him in his room. Probably get arrested for that. But I'm so against all this. For me, it's
you wouldn't have helped him choose a nice coloured one.
It's child abuse, and you're facilitating a really miserable.
It is.
Life
You're
ahead.
right. That's exactly what it is. It's child abuse.
It is, and these parents and some of these doctors and some of these teachers encourage it like it's some big trendy thing to celebrate.
That's a brilliant pub landlord, Adam Brooks. So we were talking about Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary's diktat that boys or kids as young as 4, 5, 6 in primary school can identify as a different gender if they want to. Little boys, according to Bridget, can go to school wearing dresses, as long as their parents know. So that's good. As me and Adam agreed, that is a form of child abuse. Don't let little boys wear dresses because they think they're a different gender. It's ridiculous. Maybe give me a call about that. 03444 991,000. Before we go to the phones, this is a voice note from Rob on the Greens.
Just a quickie about this legalising of drugs with the idiotic Greens. Now, in the 90s, the Swiss tried this, and a place called Needle Park became absolutely notorious with drug addicts from all over Europe basically turning up because the Swiss had set up like needles and basically given all the support, which is what the Greens are saying. Man, it didn't work. It didn't work at all.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Don't legalise drugs. I mean, the war on drugs has been going on for about 60 years. That's a complete failure, complete defeat. It does seem we need to try to find some kind of different approach to the scourge of drug abuse. But legalising heroin and crack and GMB, I don't think so. I don't think that's the way to go about this. What we got here? Here's a message that I've got lots of messages. I'll try and read some out. This is from Linda in Walmer in Kent. The damage to the great Winston Churchill statue makes me sick. Agreed. The vile group would have no freedom without this man and the likes of my father, whose ship was torpedoed by the Nazis. They are beyond contempt, and I am glad those heroes are not here to see this. Well said, Linda. Very good. I'll read some more messages in a second. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Matt in Cheshire. Hello, Matt.
Hi, good evening, Kev. I live about 4 miles away from Denton.
Right.
And I only realised last night when they were churning through all the numbers that Gorton was 40% Muslim.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, 20 years ago, Gorton was a majority white area. So Labour haven't just lost because of Keir Starmer being the most pathetic and useless politician in living memory. They've lost.
Sorry.
They've lost because they turned majority white areas into 40% Muslim areas over the last 20 years.
Yeah, they only got themselves. You know what's interesting about that vote, Matt, is you think about Labour. Just about every policy they've got is a craven attempt to court the Muslim vote, and it's quite clear they're not going to get the Muslim vote. The Muslims are going to vote for the Greens.
That is what is going to... I mean, in Ashton-under-Lyne, Angela Rayner's seat, that's got a quite high Muslim population as well, but there are still plenty of other... It's quite obvious that since Labour have been in charge of local government and Andy Burnham has been the Mayor of Manchester, that white people have basically been the bottom of the food chain. And
Indigenous Brits, yeah, we're second-class citizens these days, aren't we?
Way before this government came in, literally for a generation round here, basically all they've done, Labour, is grovel to ethnic minorities.
Yeah, in order to get their vote. And last night we saw that it's all been in vain because they're voting for the Greens. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not the rise and rise of the Greens is extremely worrying. You know, I mean, this sort of impulse to attack populism, I'm always slightly circumspect about, because, you know, what is the definition of populist policies? They're policies that are popular with the people, which seems to me to be a good idea. But if you take it right down to the level of free heroin and crack, that's taking populism a little too far, and that's what the Greens are doing.
Because they know that will go down well with metropolitan middle-class students, but it won't go down well with the Muslim population. Thankfully, there are only minimal amounts of those high-density metropolitan ethnic minority and Muslim areas. So Greens can only win so many seats.
I'll tell you what, though, you know, they did a lot of Hannah Spencer did a lot of campaigning in Urdu, you know, appealing to the local Urdu-speaking Muslim community. I bet you that she was obviously going about free Palestine, Gaza, we hate Israel. That was all in Urdu. But I'll tell you what she didn't put in Urdu: her belief that women can have penises, gay rights, trans rights, and so on and so forth, and the legalising of heroin and crack. I bet she didn't put that in Urdu, and when the local Muslim community wake up to that element of the Green Party's outlook, they might not be so keen. Those Greens are nuts. Matt, great to talk to you. Thank you. Excellent call. Matt in Cheshire. Let's go to Jill in Cornwall. Yeah, I just said, Jill, that I think the Green Party are nuts. You think they're dangerous. I think we're both right.
Well, I do. And the stupid thing is, they're talking about legalising drugs. At the moment, you can't smoke a cigarette in the street.
That's true.
Somebody can say. I mean, what is the sense in legalising heroin and crack and what have you, and then making someone with a packet of cigarettes who's bought them legally having to sort of hide in a corner somewhere? I just think that they are nuts, absolutely nuts. And the awful part about it is that I believe that I think the vote was manipulated. I think it was taken out of the, I think people thought that the reform would win. And so this was the alternative.
Well, I think that the reason the Greens won it, I mean, the reform fought a decent traditional campaign, very energetic. They've worked very, very hard, but they didn't go round sort of speaking to Muslims in Urdu and promising them that, you know, we'd invade Israel on all the claptrap that they told them.
What is wrong with this country? That we've got a legal system that we have to comply with. We've got judges, courts, and goodness knows what. And then you've got Sharia courts. You've got courts.
85 we've got, Jill. We've got 85 Sharia courts in this country.
And they're being allowed. They're being allowed.
Well, yeah, they're being allowed to the extent there are 85 of them.
Well, I would love to know who's doing this. I would love to know who is allowing this to happen, because we are...
The Labour government. The Labour government. Everything they do, recognising Palestine, even the Chagos Islands, it's all geared towards appealing to the Muslim vote. They're obsessed with the Muslim vote, and we saw last night in Gorton and Denton, they're not going to get it. The Greens are going to get it, so it's all to nothing.
It's scary. It is. But I do think that we're heading towards, there will be people that will be so angry about this that we will end up with violence in this country as a result.
Well, I think you know, there is a very febrile atmosphere in this country. I don't want to sort of act as if that's something that we want to happen, but I fear, you know, there is an atmosphere in this country that's getting rather worrying, and it could lead to some kind of civil problems. Listen, Jill, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Excellent call. Jill in Cornwall there. We're going to go to break now. When we come back, more of your calls. We're going to go all the way through to 7 o'clock. Peter Cardwell will be in. No, it's not Peter Cardwell. He'll be in on Monday. I think he's doing his weekend shows. It's Duncan Baxter tonight, so Duncan will be in to let you know what he's got lined up for your entertainment from 7 o'clock. So that next, your calls next. Get on the phone, 03444991000. Stick around.
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in third place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, what your gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman, what you are physically, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's do a voice note first, shall we? This is from Pete, and it's on Keir Starmer.
Well, I think Starmer's got a cheek saying extreme Greens pose a threat to Britain when he's the biggest threat to Britain. But have you noticed now how he's going to change his tune? Because he's no longer got the Muslim vote, has he? Because they're all voting with the Greens now to get a foothold in Parliament. So you watch him change his tune now, and all of a sudden it'll be, oh, we must look after the rest of the people of Britain, blah, blah, blah. Out, Starmer, out.
Yeah, Starmer hasn't got long to go. You're exactly right. It is kind of, I mean, it's a sick joke, but it's kind of funny. You know, the Labour Party or the Labour government, Starmer spends all his time trying to get the, why do you think they recognise Palestine? Vote for Muslims, vote Labour, vote Labour. We're going to need you at the next election. They're all going to vote Green. So everything Starmer's done to court all the political crimes he's committed to court the Muslim vote have come to nothing. He's so useless, isn't he? Now, later on, 9 o'clock here on Talk, it's my TV show What Just Happened. So you can watch that live on this channel from 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock. If you're listening on the radio, it's radio friendly, so don't worry. And tomorrow, around about 9:30, it goes live on YouTube, and then you can watch it any time you want. Here's a little sample of what you can expect.
Bonnie Blue has announced that she's pregnant after sleeping with over 400 men last week. She previously broke the record for 1,000 men in 12 hours. Are you surprised?
Yeah, just say to Bonnie Blue, so who's the father? I don't know. Could be any one of a number of men.
Yeah, 1,000 paternity suits.
Yeah, exactly
What if it's like a cat where she has multiple babies from multiple men?
Yeah, that can happen,
Yeah.
can't it? Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. I think she should sleep with the same man 1,000 times in a night, if you see what I mean. See how that goes.
Well, that's just called marriage, isn't it?
War,
That's just rough.
I think I wanted to say that certainly is not marriage. Now, that's what just happened. As I say, that's Samara Gill and Flash Ashgold, my partners in crime on that excellent show which starts tonight at 9 o'clock on Talk. So after Duncan Barks, it goes straight into that. And then, as I say, tomorrow morning on YouTube from about 9:30. Watch it anytime you like. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's just fantastic. Right, let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Ian in London. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Kevin. Kevin, why is it that the mainstream media go on, like, dare I say it, on Sky, where they say the Greens smash Labour, they smash Reform? They maybe smash Labour, but quite simply, where you've got Reform have near enough doubled their vote.
Reform did amazingly well. This is Ian. Just to stress it. No, it's your call. I'm interrupting you, and I'm sorry for that. But the 1930s, Labour have held that seat for nearly 100 years. The fact that Reform, a right-wing party, stormed it and beat Labour, nearly won that, is phenomenal.
Yeah, because basically, but also what you've got to take in. You've got the Greens, they're offering, as you say, the drugs. They're offering that they're going to sort of like to turn the back on Israel and sort of want to invade Israel. It's actually not really working, because if you take it, yes, the Greens got the Labour vote. They got the other lunatic Galloway's vote, right? And that's where their votes come from.
Yeah.
As you say, give it another week. Right, I'll tell you what to do. I'd put all the drug addicts, all the prostitutes and everything else into Galton and see how quick the Muslims suddenly go, what's all this?
Yeah.
What's all these pride marches going on here? Why are there drug...
Well, yeah, I mean, there were so many Green policies. So, of course, the Greens up in Hannah Spencer and the Green campaign there, which was very clever. It was sinister, but it was clever. In Urdu, you know, you can rest assured all they were saying is, yeah, free Palestine, Gaza, yeah, we hate Israel, yeah, give it Zionism and all that kind of crap. Well, what they would not have been saying is in Urdu is gay rights, trans rights, we believe women can have penises, free drugs, heroin, crack. They wouldn't be saying any of that. Maybe when the Muslim community cotton onto that, they'll be less enthusiastic about their new MP, Hannah Spencer. It's a good point, Ian. Thanks for a good call. Ian in London there. Just going to read a quick couple of messages. A lot of messages about the defacing of Winston Churchill's statue. Joe from Shrewsbury saying, the thing is, regarding the disgusting defacing of Winston Churchill's statue, these morons responsible would never have had the freedom to do what they have done if it wasn't for Winston Churchill. Exactly right, the sick irony at the centre of that vandalism. This is Amanda. Churchill's statue, the act of vandalism just confirms the massive ignorance in this country. Shameful. That's from Amanda. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Let's go to back to the phones. Let's talk to Paul in Hartlepool. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Kev. Just to get it out the way, I think that anybody who defaces Winston Churchill's statue or any other statue, it should be a straight 2-year sentence. If they're
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, we should have very... So somebody has been arrested. I don't know if they've been charged yet, but I don't think they have. We understand it's some kind of Dutch organisation who say they're best mates with Palestine Action. But yeah, I agree with you. If you're going to do something like that, the defacing of statues of our famous and revered historical figures, there should be a special crime and it should carry a minimum sentence of 2 years. I agree with you, Paul. Good idea.
Not only that, well, another thing, I was watching Starmer there making his speech, and he's talking, he's saying, I'm going to fight for the country, fight to unite everybody. It's like somebody going down the pub causing loads of trouble.
Stop fighting, Starmer. Don't be so violent. Yeah, Starmer's finished, though, isn't he? I mean, this is a joke, isn't it?
The other thing, do you know that when they're raising the age for people to vote, looking the age for them to vote
16, they're going to be very, very keen on this new law that the Greens want to bring in, free heroin and crack. But hey-ho, there you go. Another vote that Labour thought they were courting that will go to the Greens. The Muslim vote, the young vote. Labour can't buy a thrill. Paul, good to talk to you. Paul in Hartlepool there. Duncan Box is in the studio. How you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
What have you got lined up?
Well, we're going to continue with this because, I mean, you know, we need to have the conversation, Kev, about how concerned should we be about the Green Party? Is this a blip, right? Is this the future of so-called progressive politics? You know, because you dig deep, you know, old Zach or David Paulden. You know, I mean, get rid of nuclear weapons. You've been talking, you mentioned it there, you know, free heroin for everyone, get the old crack cocaine out, all of this kind of stuff going on. Is this purely just a protest vote, or is this something more sinister?
I think it is, Duncan, and the pollsters, some people are projecting after last night that the Green Party, for all their danger, all their juvenile nonsense, could get as many as 100 seats at the next election. But even Conservative estimates are 33, 35 seats. So they're going to become a force in Parliament, and they're mad, and their policies are insane.
And my biggest concern is we might end up with some ghastly left-wing coalition in Downing Street, right? Greens propping up Labour, possibly with some help from the Lib Dems, shudder. And, you know, it feels like 5 to midnight already in this country.
It does. And after last night's result, of course, you know, Keir Starmer's days are, well, he's finished, but his days are numbered. And, of course, because the loony left-wing Green Party, who, by the way, never talk about the environment anymore,